in the future. I love when I accidentally inserted Overwatch. Not really in a it's a galaxy. Oh. You know what I should do is I'm going to post a stream announcement on Twitter right now. Hello, Iconics. But we're going to do it with the 3-3. Yeah, I know what we're going to do. We're going to use the picture of someone and then Violet because they were both in the finals. Get it? Yo. Even though it looks like it's the future. Indeed. Where the frick? 3381. Oh, please. Hello, Jolly. Even though it looks like it's the future. Oh, 3322, I think, was someone. Yeah. What? Whack. The cartel has finally found Spiel. Dang it. Let's go. I mean, yeah, obviously. I need to turn up the contrast or something. It's like garbage. Whoa! Not that. Slow down, Maurice. That's trash. Far, far away. Sheila Croft can have a picture. Get her old. What's up, Fi? Fi! Pepper says, Fi! But you probably heard. Yeah, she drank her tea. Grand finals analysis after starting at even though then. Hello, Alphabet Myth. Hello. Walking around every day. My YouTube. So I gotta do the full 9 yards, yo. When's my coaching session? Just kind of broke college and can't whip out 40. Ha! You get nothing.
Listen to me.
You get absolutely nothing except the cold shoulder. Why a cold shoulder? How about a hot shoulder? Good question. All right, mates. Trying to shuffle things around here. I got it! Yo, Rashi, thanks for the sub, mate.
Like fun. Loads of exceptionally tall giants next to Spillo, though.
Hey, listen, I got at least 3 people saying that, oh, you're taller than I thought you would be. And so I don't know how to take that, to be honest with you. I don't know if that's an insult or a compliment. So we're going to take it as a compliment. How's my day today? Day's been good. Hey, Esther, we're about to do your review. How you feel about the Somber Rework, Coach? Skeptical, but willing to reserve judgment. I don't think really anything can be said yet without actually playing it. Questron, yeah, that was funny. Did I get sick? No, because I slept well, I ate well, and I have the body of a Greek god.
And I cooked.
Yeah, that too, yeah. Yeah, I'm taller than Phi, true. I'm Varashi's height. Medium height king. Yeah, but see, that doesn't quite have the same ring as short king, so you know, I will allow the meme to live on just because. All right, let's get this all situated, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I don't really know what to think of the Sombra thing. I think it's one of those situations where, like, because of my small platform, I'm going to reserve judgment because I don't want people to go into it being negative or positive without really knowing. So we'll just go into it totally blind. We'll see what happens, you know? So, you know, we'll see. Make up for being short by also being that's helpful of you, Jolly. If they don't change numbers, yeah. I just saw that. Okay. Looks like we got some Mercy. Let's get the form pulled up here. Mercy. Yeah, Mercy. Okay, so let's get our form pulled up. So we have a 30-minute replay review, and then we're going to get right into full OWL Grand Finals mode, Toronto discussion mode. So, okay. Sign up for my first coaching session, then you went live, but also the most maybe too quiet. Yeah. Okay. Yari coaching, when I ask about the melee thing, should we just not melee between shots? No, yeah, you should not. You should not, yeah. You should not unless it's to like to finish the blow. It's really, really bad. Unbound, thanks for the sub. If you guys don't know, meleeing and Yari pauses your solar energy regeneration, so it's really, really bad to do. Okay, let's take a look here. So, Silver Mercy, what do you hope you got out of the session? Being made aware of any bad habits or flaws you need to work on. What heroes do you play in rank? Mercy 99% of the time, to play more for a while. Okay. How often, how long do you play Overwatch per day? I gotta try to get a few games a day whenever I have free time and aren't playing something else. I'll play quick play if I'm not feeling at my best. Okay, so I think, you know, being a more casual player, giving a couple games here and there is fine. If you're not feeling your best, though, I wouldn't necessarily shy away from ranked. Here's what I would say, is if you're feeling like you're not going to be able to put the effort into practicing properly, then maybe I'd shy away from ranked. But there's nothing inherently wrong about performing not optimally when you're playing ranked. As long as you're getting good practice in. I think like rank can seem like this big scary thing and like you have to perform at your best, but it really doesn't need to be. You just play the game and just use that time to actually grind it out. So I wouldn't worry as much about it. I want to focus on mastering Mercy and squeezing out as much value from a kid as I possibly can. Climbing to gold plat would be nice for the dopamine, but I know that climbing after focusing on playing better. Yeah, okay, absolutely. What do you feel is coming back from improving? Honestly, it just does largely feel like it's my team most of the time. Especially when I've seen other Mercies and Silver just heal botting, going for insane revives, and I feel like I get way better value than them. I know that's not a good way to look at improved climb, though. I just struggle to see where I should focus on improving. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing is it's also hard to be totally objective about your gameplay, too. So one of the hardest things that I realized about improvement is that sometimes without like really taking the time to study your gameplay, and even then it's really hard to be objective. It's hard to know like exactly why are these players a higher rank than me if they're doing these really, really stupid mistakes. But see, the problem with that is that's only because you know what mistakes that you don't do, but you don't know mistakes that you do. I do. Haha. Okay. For example, whenever I'm playing, one of my pet peeves, I talk about this in Patreon games all the time, is when people don't press Q. And whenever I play a ranked game or whatever, and people do not press their ultimate, they legit just don't use their ultimate, I'm like, bro, how are these players in the same rank that I am? But I'm sensitive to that, right? You'd think as a coach, I'd be equally sensitive to every mistake, but I'm not. I even myself, when I'm looking at my own gameplay, I see certain errors more than I see others. One of the things that we talk about with low rank Mercies is that they always they don't damage boost enough, right? So one of the things that if you've seen any of my videos, you're probably super sensitive, like, yo, these guys are heal botting. But there's a reason why they're the same rank as you are. They're probably doing some things better than you are. And because you're focusing on the damage boost, because that's the thing that you think about, you're not thinking about the other things that you need to do. So it's all about being objective. And that's where accession helps. But I think also being a little bit more self-aware is something that is something that we should all aspire to be, because I think it allows you to coach yourself better if you're able to be a little bit more aware of what my actual issues are, and not just from what I tell you from this VOD review, but really trying to take a closer look at your gameplay whenever you get a chance. Okay, let's take a look at this Mercy play. One of the things we talk about with Mercy is that even in her current state, which is kind of like pocket lamage, it's about finding who's doing pressure and then actually assisting them to do more pressure. In other words, you have your mobility, so you need to be trying to utilize that to position appropriately based off of who's doing the most damage. Now, that might be just 1 or 2 targets, depending on the situation. Like I look at your composition right now, and I'm probably thinking Hanzo, Soldier, maybe a little bit of Roadhog here and there, but very unlikely will be your Moira. But, why would you pocket your Soldier here and not your Hanzo? Well, Soldier's out of spawn. It's that simple, right? But like, let's say this fight evolves and my Soldier goes high ground right here and my Hanzo's back here. Who would I rather pocket, right? Who would I rather support? I don't even want to use the words pocket or damage boost or heal, just support, whether that's damage boost or heal. And it's probably going to be Soldier because he's in a more aggressive position. So if you guys have seen any of my Mercy VOD reviews, it's about awareness of where my team is. Who do I need to be assisting without, and then finding ways of assisting them without risking your life through Mercy's mechanics. Whether that's the beam grace period, the super jumps, I like to use it the pogo, the back out. So yeah, okay. So let's take a look here. I love your Moira's name. That was my old cat's name, actually, Musashi. So like I look at this situation right here, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna pocket our Soldier. But then honestly, like as soon as I see my Hanzo taking the angle there, I actually think, obviously you could not have saved your Hanzo's life necessarily, but you should have been here, to be honest with you. As soon as I see the Hanzo rotating there, Musashi was a famous Japanese, I believe it was Japanese. Musashi was Japanese, yes? War general. Samurai. I think you can res this, yep. Good. Now, one of the downfalls of Mercy is that there's very little direct value. It's all indirect. So that means that in theory, if your team is really, really, really bad, there will be games that you, even if you were like the greatest Mercy in the history of the world, you could not carry. However, over the course of 50, 60, 70, 100 games, you will be able to do it. When are we doing the finals analysis? I will update the title and tell you. 15 p.m. EST. Whoops. Thank you for the sub, Bakura. Miyamoto Musashi. Yes. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's keep going. Also, ladies and gentlemen, that is all. Hydrate, thank you. Good use of super jump that allows you to pocket your Soldier with full and complete safety. Good heal on your Hog there. Now this might be also where you transition into damage boost on your Hog, just based off of his position, and it looks like that's exactly what you're doing. That's fine. It's a little risky, but it's fine. Now, as soon as this is concluded, obviously you need to go back and assist your Roadhog. See, this is where, this is such a minor detail, but it's an important one, right? Where you go, okay, we're taking high ground, I got a pocket and a Soldier. I'm on my Hog, perfect. Soldier on the angle, clear her out, perfect. But then right now, who's the person that's actually doing aggressive things? It's actually really not your Hanzo necessarily. It would have been your Soldier and Roadhog super. So that's a situation where you needed to rotate faster, posture check, thank you, to your Hog. Would that have saved it? Maybe not. But you needed to be there sooner. Good positioning here. Damage boost. Good. Good use of super jump. What I might have done here is tried to carry my momentum over to the opposite high ground, even if that breaks my beam. Because this right here is never, ever, ever where you want to be. So whenever you see something like this, chat, this is where you would do one of two things, okay? You would either fly, super jump, and then carry your momentum with W key forward, up and over to here. Use your beam grace period and then drop, right? So you're able to maintain your beam, but you have cover, right? Your other option here is you can use what I would call the pogo, where you again utilize your beam grace period, but you want to give your Hanzo beam, but you know that you can't stay here. So what you do is you GA with your beam and then bounce your GA back the opposite direction, right? Using your jump cancel. Or if you want to be super fancy, you could fly 180 GA and bounce back the opposite direction because you move faster in the direction that you're looking. And then, so it would be like this. A demonstration really fast here. You guys are probably familiar with this tech, but it's an important one to practice. Whenever you don't want to be, because you don't want to be out in the open here, but you do want to pocket him. So you need to be able to find the balance here. So you pardon my mechanics, but this is where you would go like, okay, let's say this is the Hanzo's out in the open, right? So I want to pocket this guy, but I can't quite reach him, right? So you would go here, up and over, and carry your momentum up and over into the high ground, right? Your other option here would be, again, pardon my mechanics, where you would go here. Oh my days, ladies and gentlemen. Coach mechanics. You're going to keep GA and bounce out there. And you see how they utilize the grace period there? And then finally, you utilize that grace period. So here. Oh my gosh. I'm so bad. Shut up, bro. I'm sorry. Yeah, there you go. Beam breaks. I keep canceling it. But you need to be able to do that. Stop making fun of that. You can also do the 180. Okay. My sensitivity is too low for this. You can also do the 180 where, because you see how slow I move backwards? Oh my gosh. I think I'm letting go of shift. Yeah. You see how I slowly move backwards? Okay. You can also, that would have been really embarrassing. You can also move your crosshair all the way. Oh, come on, dude. I'm so bad. You could also flick, right? Move your thing. Yeah, and you move faster in the direction that you're looking. So if you're not bad like me, right, you can move faster. So you would be like, okay, there's the Hanzo, fly to him, and then like that, right? You got me? Yeah, there you go. See, just a little bit of practice. Or as I said, you could have done your thing up and over and carried your momentum up and over. Yes, Jack, grab it. She did it at some point. So again here, fly. I keep letting go of shift. That's the problem. Yeah, see, this would probably would have been the play though. Inequitous. But yeah, that's highly recommended. So anytime that, and don't just spam that off of cooldown. Use it in circumstances when there's somebody that you want to pocket, but their positioning is not safe for you to be in. That's a good general rule. Dude, it's not that hard to do. I literally just never play Mercy. When's the in Overwatch 2 for certain, right? Wait, there's no way. Okay. Like, this is all on like, this is like season 5 of Overwatch 1. But yeah, anyway. So, okay. So, important here, where we could have continued to pocket this Hanzo. And this is where, if we're going to use the super jump, we really need to continue that momentum forward to cover, or even better, use that slingshot, like the bounce mechanic. Bam, bam. And that would have been a lot better. But you guys saw how fast I got it. I just literally haven't done the tech. This guy is not real. This guy is not real. This isn't AI. Unbelievable. Okay. Heal. Good. Good. Heal. Quickly go back to your damage booster. And then this is where you could... Oh, bless me. Probably res that. Kind of a weird way to see your GA. Actually, you know what? This raises some questions. What are your settings? Because this, I think, looks like prior on GA and Beam. Okay, so make sure, I'm pretty sure your settings are probably fine. But make sure that it's preferred beam, preferred facing target with Guardian Angel. But it honestly just looks like, yeah. So it just looks like you just didn't get your crosshair on the soul so that you actually accidentally GA'd to your Roadhog. So this is just a mechanical error. Put your crosshair on the soul so that you don't actually GA backwards. I think it's not that deep, you know? Wait, prefer beam? Prefer facing target. Prefer facing target. There's two reasons why. One is so that you have the capability to fly away from whoever you're beaming, which is really, really important. The second one is that you're able to keep the preferred beam target. So when you play with Pharmacy, right? The ability to fly to your Pharmacy without even looking at her is really powerful, right? But you can have your cake and eat it too with this setting. In fact, this setting is so important that it actually bothers me that this setting is new. This setting has only been around for what, a year and a half, 2 years? This setting should have been here since literally Mercy's release. But prefer facing target is better. You get the best of both worlds. You can fly away from somebody who you're beaming, right? You can beam somebody and fly to somebody else, and you can still GA to people that you're not even looking for. Okay, then you're good. Then your settings are fine. You just missed your crosshair. Yeah, your settings are fine then. You could Valk this, by the way. You could Valk this. You could 100% Valk this. Like, if the fight is still winnable and it's mid-fight, just use the Valk. Just use the Valk. Because this Valk, you can guarantee get this res, and even on, like, obviously hindsight, he's like, oh, my Hanzo died, probably wouldn't have been good. But you might have been able to keep your Hanzo up. You might have been able to keep your Moira up. I don't know. I think Valkyrie is like one of the easiest support ultimates in the world to use, but it's also the one that gets most overthought because it doesn't counter anything. You just use it, and then sometimes you win the fight and sometimes you don't. But when you use it, you significantly increases your chance to win the fight. Oh my gosh, Kuzul. I can't even imagine. Oh, what a Chad. Yep. Good use of GA. Good use of GA, I say. I will say one thing here. You're a little tiny bit slow to swap the target to swap. So like, first off, the GA is like whatever. You don't need to GA here because of the beam range. Res. Good. 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 Too close. Too close. Damage boost. Damage boost. More. There's a little bit of that slingshot, or the bounce, yeah. I think this is okay. I would have preferred you in that situation to use your so what I like to see with Mercy is if you're gonna use your pistol, use it on something that's super easy to get damage on, just to make sure that it's gonna get consistent value. Like right now, if you had whipped out your pistol to break Pylon, that probably would have been a better use of your pistol here. This is not it. This is not it at all. You need to understand the limitations of your weapon. You're able to get a kill earlier because they were point blank range on you and they didn't know that you were there. At this range and this unpredictable movement, this is a total waste of your time. This is a total waste of your time. You need to be healing your hog. You need to be damage boosting your soldier. I don't even think you could keep your Hanzo up, or honestly, you could even be pocketing your Moira at this point in time. And right now, this is the last person that you should be pocketing, right? Like Moira, soldier, anything like that. Ooh, it's risky, but it seems okay. Good positioning. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's go. Oh, what happens here? What happens? Damage booster cool. Yeah, damage booster cool. Stay in the cool. No. Like it's the little things, guys. Like you guys have to understand that like the difference between like I would say a Diamond and a Grandmaster Mercy is unlike really any other character in the game is really not the big things. I would say you could. Boy. Yo, thanks for the raid. I appreciate it.
Trash can.
By the way, that raid notification for those of you guys that saw my tweet from in Toronto, that's money. That's me coaching Money Folder many years ago. But yeah, thank you so much for the raid I made. I appreciate it. We're coaching some Mercy and we're getting to grand finals. But the difference between like a Diamond and a Grandmaster Mercy, people have to understand, is it's usually not like any crazy tech or crazy mechanics or anything like that. It's just the consistency with doing the little things. It's a consistency with beaming the right target at the right time. It's a consistency with not letting the beam break for no particular reason. It's cutting down off of unnecessary death. It's using cover just a little bit better, using your Valk a little bit more consistently, having the right beam on the right target at the right time. Like, I don't want to, every single time I coach Mercy, I get nitpicky. Every single time. It doesn't matter if they're bronze or GM. This right here, unforgivable. There's just absolutely no reason for that beam to break. This right here, unforgivable. There's just absolutely no reason for that beam to break. Now, would that have mattered over the course of this fight? I don't know. But the thing with Mercy is that because you don't have a really big spike in value outside of like your res decisions, why do I have exclamation mark drops actually? That's a good question. I don't know why I'd have that. It's so important that you do the little things well consistently. That's why. It's so important that you do the little things consistently. Because what will happen is though you just increased your chances of losing that fight by like 5% by making that mistake. And then you miss position and you've increased it another 5%. And there is no, besides res, any one particular thing you could do to carry a game. It's the frequent, like again here, look very carefully, guys, look very carefully. What is wrong right now? Do you see what's wrong right now? Do you see it? Like, this is why you're silver, right? This is why you're silver. You're doing a lot of things really well, but you have no beam up, and you're also on the wrong target. Your Hanzo's the one that needs it more aggressively, and he's not getting beamed. And so by the time you beam him, there's like a solid 30-40 healing that you left on the table there. He's died to that multiple times this round. So we talk about like Mercy being a really easy character to play. In some aspects, that's true. But in a lot of aspects, I find Mercy to be the most punishing character in the game when it comes to a drop of awareness. If you lose awareness and you're just like kind of like coasting here, that Hanzo's dead. That Hanzo's dead. And there's no way that you can turn that fight. Besides maybe rezzing him. And then even here, right? Like let's not get lazy with it even here. You miss the pocket, you get the pocket on Hanzo, great. But now the Hanzo doesn't need pocket. Who needs pocket right now, chat? Soldier or Hog. Soldier's actually doing damage right now on the Mercy in the sky. Soldier would benefit from pocket or Hog because the Hog is actually playing aggressively. Could we pocket Hog safely? Yes. Symmetra's right here, but you know what? We have text for that. We fly in, we beam, and we bounce back. Or we just sit here and pocket Soldier. Right? But not Hanzo, and certainly not a heal beam on Hanzo. Sure, this is consistent damage. Melee, 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 melee. Oh, get out. I think that was fair. I know you're like, oh, my Hog died while I pistoled, but it was good damage. It was good pressure. It wasn't cheesy like the Iliari during Ultimate. Good movement. Now, I want you to Valk to get across this bridge once your Moira is ready to go. Good pocket. Good. Use the Valk. Use the Valk. A little slow, but good. I think it was okay. That was okay. You forced double ults out of them. And I think you got a kill here too, so maybe you guys can still get out of spawn here. Good. Heal him. Ah! It's the little things, guys. Did I get any pics with Hydran? Yeah, I did. Actually, you know what? I did, but I don't. Maybe I didn't. I got a really funny story about Hydran. Remind me Hydran when we're done with this review. Check it out, guys. Too slow in heal, right? Just a little slow. Like right now, he needs healing, but you're just a teeny bit too slow. Just literally like a half a second too slow. So like right in real time. Now heal. You know, it's the little things. It's the little things, right? And I think That's what makes Mercy so difficult. That is the highest level of complexity of Mercy, is making those right decisions over and over and over again. And even this here, right? Like where you go for the wrong tech in the wrong circumstance. Right here, it's like you actually, because of this misuse of the tech, there's a brief moment there where your life eater could have died there. Because and even now, right? Because you misused the tech. You did the wrong tech. You needed to do a bounce over. So you should have flown jump cancels up and over, right? That way, even though you had the beam on the wrong target, you would have actually gotten to a position to heal your life weaver. And how many times have those little things just so far in this review have cost us? Sleepu, thanks for the sub, mate. I appreciate it. Good positioning, good pocket. Heal, 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 slow. Now damage boost. Nice. Good heal on the hog there. I think it's good. I'll go back to the Ash. Nope. Ash, good. Get ready to heal her. She might need it at any point in time. Heal on the hog, good. And the worst part about Mercy, I guess this is just something that a little bit every character has to go through, is I do think that we played that fight relatively well. We just don't have the capability to carry it. So you should be pleased about that fight. Good. Good. Pocket on the Sombra is good. Good swap to heal. Probably would just damage boost instead there, but it's not the worst beam that you've had. Good movement, good positioning. Not good. Valk. I think missed opportunity to Valk there, even in the 4v5. What do you guys think? Valk timing is good. It's not that I don't want you to pop out your pistol. I just want you to pop out your pistol when there's actual value out of it. Like right here, you kind of need to commit to this, to be honest with you. Like if you're gonna pull out your pistol, she needs to go. You're popping out your pistol in not super great ways. You need a consistent damage threat, like something that like a Widow that you can 100% kill. Or if you are going to pull it out here, you need to stick with it. She needs to die. She needs to die. Yeah, nice. Yeah, probably get a bit closer before shooting. Yes, 100%.
Now this is brain surgery.
Mercy's pistol is butt cheeks against characters that can actually move and characters that are far away. Like actually awful. What is that, the third time? Fourth time? Okay, you don't need to be cart. Create your distance. That's fine. Like, this is, again, respectfully why you're silver. Right here. Look at this. Look at this Ash. She's being pocketed. Coach gun's up. All right. Hello? You're fine, Turtle Man. Like, what? Like, that to me is like you staying aware of where your team is a problem. You know? Like, that's so frustrating, right? That's going to cost you your res. That's going to prevent you. So now you don't have your res. And for what Why? Just because you just weren't paying attention. And we've seen that many times before. Where's your Ashe? Oh, there she is, right? Is this a roast? No. I just think I'm trying to be a little bit tougher here because I think whenever you feel like, here's the thing. This person specifically said that it sometimes feels hard to know what they needed to do better in a ranked environment, right? Because it feels like sometimes it just feels like a lot of things are outside of my control. I'm trying to showcase that there is a lot of things in your control. No, it has nothing to do with the rank, really. It has nothing to do with the rank. In fact, I'm usually not this tough on lower ranked players. But I think there's a lot of things that this player is doing well. So I think we need to be clear about what things are not doing well, right? And to me, it's a lot of the same. There's a lot of points where we're doing quote unquote, we're doing the basic Mercy things, but we're missing the just the simple, like a heal bot Mercy would have kept the Ashe alive and would have kept the Hanzo alive 2 times in the previous fights and probably would have kept the Roadhog alive and probably gotten a little bit more Valk value, right? A Healbot Mercy would have missed some of the damage boost value. A Healbot Mercy would have missed opportunities to pistol earlier. But I think that there are the things that you are missing because not because you're damage boosting, but because you're damage boosting and missing opportunities is like right now, for example, like you're pistoling, but this guy should have lived. Like this guy should have lived. Look at this. This guy could have lived. He could have at least taken another shot. You're not killing the Sojourn. You don't have the damage for it, especially with a Mercy pocket. So like I know it's crazy, but you needed to heal here. You needed to heal this guy. Like he dies because he's actually moving quite well. He would have bought a lot of time, and then now you Valk. But this fight is so much uglier than had any right to be. I mean, you guys needed your Life Weaver here. Like if you had your Life Weaver here, I think you guys actually win this fight with this Valkyrie. The Valkyrie's fine, but it's tough. I think you need to evaluate the timing of when you're pulling out your pistol. Like even that right there. That's 80 healing that you just left on the board there. 80 healing. Where's your pocket? Thank you. And honestly, even here, I might even be pocketing my Sombra just because of how aggressive she is, as opposed to your Ashe, right? Don't just pocket Ashe because she's Ashe. Look at your Sombra. Like your Sombra actually has to translocate out because she doesn't receive any healing. But a Sombra, actually right now, look at how much damage she does. Right? It's pretty decent damage, no? And she's gonna be able to stay, right? So you need to be very careful about memorizing pocket targets, right? And instead look at the battlefield. I mean, how many times have we asked for a hog pocket earlier, right? Just based off the positioning of your backline. You gotta break this. You gotta worry about this habit. I wouldn't say break this habit because it is appropriate sometimes. But like, there just is no way that pulling out your pistol there is the right play. And it costs you just a little bit of healing time. Because even though you don't actually commit to it, it's a habit to look at. Let's look at a little bit more. I want to look at a little bit more here. I know we're going to run a little bit behind schedule, y'all, but I want to try and be a little bit extra thorough with this here. Okay, so what are you guys seeing so far? What are you guys seeing so far? We're going to keep going, but I want to see if you guys see anything major. This is Avad, yeah. Not adequate GA movement, okay? I think this is a good example of it right here, right? Like right here, this is not where you want to be. But you do want to beam your Junkrat. So this is where you would do what we did earlier, right? The GA, cancel, just boom back a little bit, even just to this corner here, right? Slow to switch to heal damage boost and doesn't always pocket the correct teammates, yep. You look at that right there, and that hurts. That hurts real bad. We're just a little bit juked out by the map, I mean, it is a little bit unlucky there, yeah? But That he should have lived.
I could use some assistance. Right by you.
That's another one right there where we needed to do the bounce. We needed to do the balance of store. So like right here, you fly in. It's good to pocket your Zarya here. But right here, bounce back. You cannot be here. So your GA dies here. Too close. Yep. Good. Risky, but seemed necessary. Oh, that's unfortunate. All right. So chat, what movement should we do right now? You guys are Mercy main addicts, no? So what should we do right now? One of the most basic Mercy tech, slingshot the next high ground. Yes. Yes. So it should be one of two things. GA, cancel, jump cancel up, or the simpler one, GA, pivot cancel, fly this way, maintain beam, and go to get to here. Let's see what we do. But not quickly enough and not done well, right? GA towards their team and whip out the Glock, right? Exactly. But yeah, so we had the right idea, but too slow, not executed well enough. And we should have died there. We got really, really close to death. If you crouch, then let go of crouch, then GA, you can change the arc of your flight to not be in a straight line. Okay, good to know. Yeah, see, here's the thing. When it comes to like the tiny details of Mercy movement, I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy. I will gladly admit that. You know, not gladly, but... But yeah, I mean, again, right there, like, look at how close your positioning almost is to you getting killed. Like, there's really no reason for you to be here and not here. There's no reason for you to be there. So what ends up happening is, during this pocket situation, again here, right? You could fly and GA back if you want to from here. But instead, we stand in the open, we almost die. I know we're running over, hold tight. Look at one more fight. Was that the appropriate movement for the situation? I mean, you're literally doing nothing right now, right? You are literally doing nothing right now. You might as well. So what would have been appropriate, right? GA, maybe move this way to this corner. We literally do nothing. Like what? 3, 4, 5 seconds, right? Almost of literal nothing. So. You know, that stuff hurts. Good. Not so good. Good. Not so good. Get to the left, get to the left. Yep. Oh, no. Oh, messy. So, I respect it, honestly. Let's finish this fight and we'll call it. No, this is not it, though. This is brain off. Do you even know what's happening back here? Do you even know, like, what a damage boosted Zarya at this point, honestly, would be a lot more value. This is brain off, right? You're trying, though. That's good. Uh-oh. It's a little slow in the heal beam, right? And because you're a little slow in the heal beam, now you're not going to pay attention. You don't even know where your Zarya is, do you? Yeah. Okay, we're going to stop there. So here's what I'm thinking. I think you need to work a little bit more on checking your movement micro in terms of how you're doing your slingshots in particularly your slingshots. Let's get this in DMs here. Pay close attention to slingshot bounce use to min-max your safety while pocketing. Keep an eye on heal damage management on pocketed target. Too slow to swap in some circumstances, right? Sometimes you heal for too long when they're full HP. Sometimes you damage boost for too long when they're close to half HP. Cheers, Ski Mask. Pistol habit needs to be done more selectively in situations where your damage actually matters. Trying to think. Anything else, y'all? Anything else? I think awareness of teammates' positioning to know when and who to target. Sometimes tunneled on what's directly of us. Do you have any questions, Estor, before we get into our Overwatch League shenanigans? Rehydrate. Thank you. Ace Replays, thank you for the sub. I think the reses were good. I like the reses a lot. I like that we were trying to damage boost a great deal. Have a better position so that you can have a better knowledge of teammates' position. Sure. Which priority thing I should focus on these? I would say I think they're all pretty close, actually. I would say they're all pretty close. What I would do is I would focus probably on the slingshot thing first, because that's more of in the positioning in general first. Fayops, thanks for the sub, mate. I think looking at your positioning and your use of your movement probably would be the one I'd put a little bit of a priority on first. But I don't think that there's a really clear answer here, so I think it's really up to you. And I think you can remember, practice one of these at a time. Nolan, thank you for the sub. Practice one of these at a time, but keep in mind you don't have to master these.
Replay viewer content, right?
Maybe we'll talk about that in a second. So I think spending time practicing one at a time for every day, maybe every week, every game, however you want to approach it, you don't need to master a skill to move on. I think, work at it, improve at it a little bit, give it some thought, and then move on to the next one. So you don't need to master it to be able to move on. If you force yourself to master movement before you moved on, you'd be working on movement for 6 months and you'd be bored out of your mind. So I think finding a sort of balance where hey, I spent a couple of days working at it, time to move on. I think that's a good way of looking at it. Okay. It's time. It's time. Do you have any other questions? Cheers, mate. You're very welcome. It's time. It is indeed time. Now, today is going to be a little bit of a different review for those of you guys, because I was there. I got to see and chat with a lot of people. I have a lot of stories from Toronto that I'm going to try and remember. And I got to meet a lot of people. In addition to that, there's a lot to talk about in terms of the compositions that were being run. And I also think that there's going to be a lot more time to discuss things because, spoiler alert, this was not a very interesting match. I think it was a fun match to watch, but it was some competitive maps, but it was a pretty clean 4-0 for Fuller, who was very clearly the better team. So what we'll make up for in length of the analysis, we'll make up for in terms of the overall environment of the match and a lot of the stories that came from the match itself, which it was a very interesting event. Hydran, yes. We'll talk about Hydran. So basically, here's the thing with Hydran. I've known Hydran. Many of you guys have heard the story before. I've known Hydran since 2018, where I coached his Doomfist. He was a Doomfist OTP, played a bit of a Widow, was a projectile DPS player. We used to duel, at least many times we would go into Black Forest and we'd practice our mechanics. And I used to run into him into a tryhard at free-for-all all the time. I would 1v1 him on Zen Tracer, on a Tracer, like I said, all the time. So I remember when he got accusated by Kefri, when he was starting to go into tier 3. There's a fly here. Anyway, long story short. So Hydra is a bit of a turd because he's always hitting on my wife. He always joked about Hydran's how's your wife doing? How's your wife doing? How's your wife doing? Even back when he was 17 years old. Super cringe, right? 16 years old. So, that's the joke, So anyway, Tapper is there. And I don't even know if he knows what she looks like. She might be kind of knows what she looks like, but it hasn't really met her. So anyway, so I see Hydran. He doesn't see me. And Pepper goes, he's hanging out with some of the guys, and she goes, "Hey, Hydran," super like fangirlish. And he goes like, "Hey, whatever." Has no idea who it is. And so volume warning. I go I'm like behind her like a little bit. He doesn't see me. And I go, "Yo, why are you hitting on my wife? Lay off, dude." Right? And there's like 20 people that are standing around him, right? Like people not talking to him and this and that. And they're like, "What the heck, dude? Like, what did we just hear? What?" And then he sees me and he's like, "Oh, dude." And he like comes running over. But dude, it was the funniest thing, man. His face like just goes white for like half a second because he doesn't know who sang it. It was the funniest thing, dude. See ya. Love you too. Dude, it was so funny. He looked so dead, and everybody around him looked like they were just like about to crawl into a hole. But yeah, it was great. It was great. And then this turd is like bullying me because I wasn't sure if I was going to make. So they had an after party for like all the Overwatch League players and the content creators and the staff. And I managed to make it to the after party, which was super cool. And, I left before everyone got like, wasted. So anyway, he was like, "Dude, you need to show up. You need to show up. You need to show up. You need to go. You need to go. You need to go." Right. And so I'm like, "All right, fine. I'm going to do it." And I ended up going as Unter. We ended up going with Unter. So Unter, I go in there, and bro, Hydran didn't even show up. I messaged him like, "Bro, where are you at? Like, this is like, we're here. Like, everyone's here. We're just like chilling and stuff." And he was like, "Nah, dude, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be lame. I'm going to go to," dude, he didn't even show up. Guy tries to get me to go and then doesn't even show up. Dude, I was like, what a scumbag. But anyway, it was fun. It was cool. We had a really good time. I got to meet a lot of people. I got to meet Skiesti for the first time, which was awesome. Talked with her about her stupid Mercy cutout, which was hilarious. And then got to actually meet Lemon Kiwi for the first time after interviewing her a long time ago. And she's super, super sweet. And then got to see a bunch of the players. I got to hang out with London a little bit longer. I spent a lot of time hanging out with London, more so than anybody else, but I got to hang out with London more and chat with some of the other players. I got to meet someone. I got to see Violet, Fearless. I mean, you guys probably saw the pictures in my Discord. So I got to see a lot of people. I got to see Danny, Jake. I'm trying to think who else here. Mr. X almost spilled his drink on me. That was funny. But it was fun. Did I cry? No, I didn't cry. No. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And the best part about it was night. I don't know like how the Houston players felt, but they looked like they were having a pretty good time. So I was glad to see that because there's nothing worse than seeing players that like go through like the whole season and then lose as they did and just be like totally crushed, So I was happy to see that they seemed like they're having a pretty good time too, because they earned it. They had a good season. Obviously Florida was just better, and it would be. I think it would be sad if they were taking it too hard. But everyone had a good time. Everyone had a good time. Yeah. Boston was crushed for sure. I think it was not just about losing. I think Boston and Atlanta, it was more like the circumstances of the losing that really hurt. I think Spark as well took it pretty hard. The bracket was a disaster. Blame who you will. I don't really know who to blame here, so I'm not going to open my mouth and blame anybody. But the bracket was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. Because the funny thing is the bracket was so bad that even Boston, who ended up losing twice, and then ended up losing 3 times in the meaningless third place match, Boston still had a right to feel kind of irritated because I think Boston was at a good argument for being the second best team there. They were the only team that could have beaten Florida. But the way that the bracket was just weird, right? And then say what you will about Atlanta, but Atlanta literally walked into 2 what is it? Gunba said bracket terrorists. You play Spark and then you play London. You could not find 2 more diametrically opposed teams, and Atlanta just wasn't prepared for it. It was a terrible bracket. It was a joke. Think about it, like the Florida in the semifinals could have lost 1 game and been out. Like that to me is just absurd. So I'm thankful that Florida won because as bad as the bracket was, it could have been worse. Like imagine if Florida had lost to Boston. Imagine that. Imagine if it was a 3-2 banger and Boston has already lost the match and Florida doesn't get a chance to lose a match. Terrible, 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 terrible. Like, think about it even like from London's perspective. Like, London is 5th, 6th, but you know who else is 5th, 6th? Dallas Fuel. Why? Dallas Fuel is not as good as London. Dallas Fuel was at least not in this meta. There's no way. There's no way. So, you know, it was a joke of a joke of a format. Total joke of a format. And sadly, I think the format also affected the quality of the play as well, because I do think many of the matches felt less interesting because there was just a lot less hype with that. I think it made it a lot less fun to watch. No, Dallas could not have beaten London. Dallas did not have. It's not that Dallas isn't good. It's not that Hanbin isn't good. I mean, I was watching Hanbin on Zarya, and I'm like, this guy is insane. Like, I've never seen Zarya play it like this. But they just didn't have. They can't play into Rhine. I think Bastion just too strong. And you can't play support and Sigma, into Rhine either. Yeah, so it was just really dumb. It was really dumb. Like, the seeding was weird, so that like you've got London picking maps versus Boston, and then for example, London as well. Like, London got screwed. You played Boston twice in a row. Like, what? Like, how? Like, it's a disaster. Isaac, thanks for the sub. And Spark got screwed. Yep. Everybody's unhappy with it. Everybody was unhappy with it. It's just a disaster. So, I'm trying to think if there's any other. There's a lot of other stories that I'm just gonna have a hard time remembering. I had a really, really funny interaction with J3, with Pepper. Like, it was fun. Dude, guys, I signed almost 350 autographs and pictures. That was actually insane. I didn't know so many people would recognize me. I was blown away. 350 guys, 350. I don't even think I've met 350 people in my life. It was actually insane. Unito, thanks for the sub. So, don't let it blow up that eagle. It's already pretty dangerous. Yeah, true. Shy played really well. I think Spark as a whole played quite well. Spark was just another one where it was like they just didn't quite have the right answers for the right comps. You know? Your shorts made it hard to miss you. That was the goal. Half the population reigns. I coached someone. Yeah, true. That was the strat. But overall, the event was really fun. I think organization is always kind of messy because it's like, you know, there's different zones and it was kind of a pain to get to there, get to here. But it wasn't too crowded. I didn't wait in line to see anybody because it just, you know, can't be bothered. But I got to see pretty much everybody that I wanted to see. I'm trying to think if there's anybody that I didn't get a chance to talk to. I think I almost ran into Aaron Keller. I think everybody that I wanted to really say hi to was there. Like, people that I've worked with and known. I got to talk with everybody. Got to spend some nice time with Hottie, who was very, very sweet. Got to hang out with all the London guys.
The most kappa.
To remove the glass poster. Yeah, that was my Patreon's group. And we stayed at the Airbnb with the patrons, which was awesome. They flew. I had my buddy Tectris, who's one of my patrons, drove here, stayed the night here. We drove to the airport. We flew there. We met all the patrons at an Airbnb. And Phi, who might be in chat, who's one of my patrons, who I've worked with before, coached with a while. He lives in Toronto, so he was able to help us out. And yeah, it was great. I think Florida was just better in every way. I think Florida was better in every way, except maybe mechanics in some aspect. But honestly, even mechanics, they're at least competitive with Houston. But it was good. I got to have, the first night we were there, we had dinner with London and Unter, which was really fun. Hottie wasn't there. What's up, Sight? Will I leak some juice since I was over? There's not really a lot of juice to leak. I did hear from a lot of pros that there were a lot of internal issues with Atlanta, and that Dong Hack was taking the loss really, really hard, and had a fairly tough season. But like, I don't think that there's like any possible way that I could speculate why that happened. I feel like that's almost impossible to do, you know, because you don't know. Like, you don't know. You just don't know. And I saw the thing with like Techni Taylor, which was like obviously pretty rough, you know. But I also think that like I'm not going to then insert myself into that situation. And I also think that you guys, like, I think it's a good reminder that we shouldn't be immediately like deciding that, oh, I heard that this is the case, therefore this person is to blame. Because the irony is that people were putting Technic Taylor on roast, and yet these are the same people that are typing on Reddit and saying, oh, that Gator is a garbage coach because of all the Atlanta issues. Like, there's just no sense of irony in that at all. And you're like, oh, well, that's, like, hold yourself to the same standard. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if that she's a social media manager for Shock. Yes, it's bad. Everybody knows that. But why shouldn't you at least try to hold yourself? I know she apologized. Yeah. But to me, it's just like, come on. Like, can we just like in general not immediately start to like decide things, you know? It's like actually so cringe. Chio revealed on stream too. It was like the worst kept secret. They were obviously having some internal issues, but like we don't really know the full story. I mean, we don't even know what Donghack's side of thing is, you know? What's up, Epic? So from my understanding that I think that she had heard some rumors unconfirmed and then shared them as if they were fact. But that's the exact same thing that happens on Reddit all the time. Now, obviously, with her platform, it does a lot more damage. And I agree with that. But it's still wrong. It's still wrong. What she did was worse, yes, unquestionably. But it's still a good reminder that this isn't okay. And I also think it's super scummy. The amount of times that people were telling her to kill herself and the responses is like actually wild. And the amount of upvotes that those comments were getting, like the most upvoted things were like, hey, you should kill yourself. It's like it's just ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I don't care what kind of a scumbag that she is. Like, I know that there's always outliers, that there's always going to be somebody that's going to say it. And always, but the amount of people that were saying it and the amount of likes that those things had is like unbelievable. You know, like, can we just, I don't know. And to me, the way I looked at it is like, she did something stupid of unconfirmed rumors that she thought she heard, and then was like, oh shoot, I shared it. I'm going to post a meme in bad taste, you know, but people don't want that. People want to like go like off the goop. You know what I'm saying? Because what she did was bad, really bad. But like, then people take that and then that's just a fuel to just like, bam. And it's not justice. It's not justice. Justice is her either getting fined or disciplined or, you know, but telling her to kill herself, that's not justice. You know what I'm saying? There's no sense of justice from that at all. You know, it's not about, oh, we gotta always be positive, because she did a terrible thing, you know, and I've done bad things, you know, I've had to receive, but like, that's not justice. That's just stupid. Did I see the actual apology? No, I didn't really read it, to be honest with you. I saw that she apologized. I mean, it was inevitable, but you know, I don't really care that much, to be honest. As long as she was able to apologize to the players, I think that's the most important thing, you know. But I don't know. This community is like so horny for like drama that they're willing to like literally put anybody on blast for literally anything. I don't think it's necessarily an Overwatch community problem. I think it's just human nature, but it doesn't make it any better. I think like in general, people just are so people want, like, the thing is like, there are people that legitimately are happy that she did that stupid thing. Cause it was like, oh, it's juicy. You know, we got to read about it. You know, it's fun, you know, it's fun. So it's like, you know, I just think, to me, it's like, I understand why that's the case, because drama is drama, but like, I think like you really got to kind of ask yourself, you know, waiting for Spile to screw up so we can attack him. That's the thing though, is like, I guarantee you, if you put my life under a microscope the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you would find something. Every single one of you in chat, every single person in the Overwatch League, from Zoe to freaking Violet, you would find something that if I had been unlucky or undisciplined enough to put it out there, it would have not gotten canceled, like me being racist or something like that. But I would have said, I've said some stupid stuff. I've said some insensitive stuff, especially stuff in private, right? Because, you know, context matters 100%. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that that's not the case for anybody and everybody. But the difference is that sometimes you get unlucky or you're stupid, right? Like Taylor needs to, like, I keep my mouth, I generally have like a little bit of extra control because I know that I have a platform. So I have to be extra careful about what I say. Not just because I don't want to get canceled, but because I know that I kind of set an example to an extent. So I need to kind of hold myself to a higher standard, right? But it's all, I'm human too, you know? So I'm just praying that if, you know, I ever do something stupid, that people won't assume the worst about it, you know? People won't assume the worst about it. Because to me, the best way to judge somebody is if you know them, you can interpret what they did. Because like the whole Landon thing, right? I worked with Landon a long time. I know his background, where he came from. He came from the typical NA hive mind where all the ranked players are super, super degen. And he came out of that and he was actually developed himself into a pretty nice guy and a pretty respectable dude, which is crazy because the people that he was playing with and training with, and not just the people he was playing with, but like that whole environment is super, super toxic. Super, super, super toxic. And he came out of that super, and he really developed himself. And so when the whole thing with like the Aspen thing came out, my first response is, I've known Aspen for a while. I really like Aspen. I have a lot of respect for Aspen. I feel terrible for what just happened. But then I also know that, hey, I've worked with Landon for a long time. So unless he's like super good at hiding like the whole story behind the scenes, I know that this isn't the Landon that I know, right? So I cut him some slack internally because I know Landon. The problem is that people will see that and interpret that stupid joke that he made or the insensitive thing that he did to being that is Landon. They'll take the worst case scenario, that Landon's one of Landon's lowest points in the last 3 years ago, and that's who Landon is right now. And that to me is just really unfair. I talked with Landon about it in Toronto when we had the dinner in London. And he was talking about like how he felt really bad about it and how it was like really embarrassing and he felt really bad for Aspen and it was just a really bad look. And then I'm glad it got called out because I needed to apologize. And all I could think is like, if people could see Landon saying this right now and knew what I knew about Landon, how stupid would they feel about all the things that they said? Not saying that, hey, that was really bad, because obviously it was really bad, but like, again, telling him to kill himself. Like he was getting messages on Twitter and like, to me, that it's the same thing, right? It's like, I don't know. It's impossible to change and grow as a person, probably, you know. And that's the other thing too, is it's like, it's not only is it not impossible to grow and change as a person, but here's a question. Do grown and mature good people still do bad things? You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. So even the bet, like freaking Mr. Rogers probably was grumpy and rude to somebody and insensitive. You know what I'm saying? At some point in time. You know what I'm saying? Steve Irwin probably stepped on a cockroach. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, you know, but like people do stupid things. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be like, hey, you know, that's not very nice. You should apologize for that. But like, let's not interpret that as an entire, like that's not who they are. You know, that's just it's a low moment, you know? Yeah. So to me, it's like, we need to hold, the sad thing is that, not the sad thing, but the difficult thing is that people with a platform should be held to a higher standard, but not because it's not okay for a person on a platform to make a mistake, but just because we want them to continue to showcase a better example. Unless there's a pattern, of course. I'm not saying that if somebody is consistently and awful over and over and over again, that like that's not, that is a pretty, that's a commentary on who they are as a person, but like, I think people will take a selective incident, an isolated incident, you know, when it happens and interpret it, you know. And we as humans tend to hold. Here's what we do: is we hold ourselves to our intentions and to our highest points, but we tend to judge people based off of their actions and their lowest points. And that discrepancy means there will always be a harsher judgment on other people than it is on ourselves. Always. And that's very unfair. That's very unfair. See, even with the Landon thing, because I was thinking about like, you know, could that have been handled better? But I don't want to assume the worst about the people that like were saving screenshots for 3 years, right? I don't want to assume the worst about that because then I'm ironically making the same mistake that people were making about Landon. You know? Don't assume the worst. Don't assume the worst. I just think that's a good motto when it comes to personal. I get when it comes to like business and things like that, but like I think I don't like to assume the worst. Nice, Whetstone. Some people judge themselves more harshly, actually. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, all that being said, I don't even remember where this started from. I think we're talking about the Technic Taylor thing. Kind of a boring finals. If you guys did not see my Twitter thread yesterday, about a lot of the compositional choices, I want you guys to take a look at that because I was able to break down a lot of the questions that you may have in depth about some of the tank, rock, paper, scissors, which surprisingly wasn't really tank, rock, paper, scissors because everyone's like, oh, Spilo, I knew he was wrong. No, I wasn't. It wasn't really tank, rock, paper, scissors. Tank, rock, paper, scissors had like a tiny, tiny little bit into it, and only because it was fresh off of a patch and people were just playing what was easy. What's up, THK? But yeah, what ended up happening is more important than anything else is what is your answer to Bastion? That was pretty much the message of the entire finals, which to me is a little bit sad. But at the very least, they did force a decent compositional variety, which we will take. But it's mostly what is your answer to Bastion? That's why we saw more Sigma. That's why we saw certain variations of the Junker Queen composition. That's why Ryan was able to remain relevant. That's actually why we saw more Doomfist, was because of the Bastion and not Winston. So it's really important that, again, that we look really objectively at like exactly what was played and why it was played. I do want to get my notebook out because if you didn't catch the Twitter thread, I will be able to give you a brief TLDR of what we've learned. Okay, so here's what we've learned. Important, okay? Bastion is powerful. This is, I believe, pre-armor nerf. So this is the Zarya patch, but this is before they nerfed the Bastion armor heal, okay? So Bastion is powerful. So what does this mean? Less Winston, more Sigma, and more Doomfist, especially for teams that want to continue to dive. Doomfist isn't amazing versus Bastion, but he's much, much, much better than Winston into the Bastion if you continually want to play the dive, right? The power block, the punch, even the ultimate is really quite good. In addition to that, something that we saw in the playoffs with Smurf, with someone, and even to an extent Bernard, is we saw tanks that are actually remarkably flexible in what they can play. Someone, you got your Reinhardt, you've got your Sigma, you've got your Orisa. You have a lot of tanks that he can play at a high level. So that means that where there is tank, rock, paper, scissors, it's enabled by remarkably flexible tanks that the average ranked player isn't good enough. Like someone is more flexible than the average ranked player, not only in his average level performance, but his ability to understand those characters. Okay, Bernard, right? The guy, did you see Bernard's Orisa? It's ridiculous. Like Bernard's Orisa was ridiculous. He played Sigma to a high level, Diva to a high level, Zarya to a high level. He played the Doomfist. Did he play Doomfist? I don't think he played Doomfist, but he played the Orisa to a really, really, really high level. He was probably the best player on Houston Outlaws, honestly, the entire playoffs, to be honest with you. And he's a bit of an odd one with that, right? You look at somebody like Smurf, right? Junker Queen, Reinhardt, Orisa, Doomfist, phenomenally flexible character. So I think to me, it's just like what tank, rock, paper, scissors we did see was enabled because of these exceptional players, not just because tank, rock, paper, scissors is the, of course, option. For most teams that don't have tanks like that, even in the Overwatch League, you just had to kind of stick with your composition. Also, again, as I said, early patch. All teams have not had a lot of time to actually practice this. They had a week to figure out that Zarya got countered by a lot of the Bastion stuff. And then basically that's pretty much where we're at. We're at basically chaos mode right now, which meant that there was a lot of RNG in terms of who was going to do well and who wasn't going to do well, which is why I was grateful that Florida did well, because I do think they deserved it regardless of the patch. But there's a lot of guesswork. So people are going to be playing a little bit of rock, paper, scissors, because when you don't know how to execute into, like, for example, if you don't know, if London didn't know how to play into this composition, didn't know how to play into that composition, they're going to kind of make swaps based off of just what's easy because they don't understand the nuances of finding ways to adapt your playstyle. Being signed, I mean, there's nothing really to say about the signing window for the playoffs. It's bad. It's lame. Everybody knows. A lot of people abused it. It's irrelevant, really. Is Fearless a Winston only player? No, he could play Doomfist. He can play Doomfist. And so I think that's something that maybe Houston could have tried to leverage a little bit more. But I think it's a little bit unfair for us to hindsight judge it because they might have liked the segmented the variation better. And I do think that Bernard played very, very well. Okay, a couple other things to note as well. Sombra's less viable this patch as well, which definitely makes Dive a little bit less attractive. Sigma, really, really good versus the Bastion. Really quite good versus Orisa. Does fairly well versus the Ana. Does very well versus the Poke DPS. So with Sombra falling out of the meta, you saw Sigma even being played into some of the Sojourn variants just because he's really quite strong at that. I think the Brig is a troll pick most of the time. Certain circumstances where it's okay. We'll talk about those, I believe. I think Ryan is good versus Sigma. Now, here's a really interesting thing. I think Gunba apparently likes Sojourn into Sigma. Gunba likes Sojourn into Sigma. And I think it's because you basically have free reign to position on any angle that you want versus the Sigma, as long as you're able to play outside of his primary fire range, because Sigma doesn't have a lot of mobility. I also think that, like, you know, in the more immobile compositions, that Sojourn has a lot more freedom. I'm not so sure how I feel about that. Now, I understand why you wouldn't necessarily want to play Bastion into the Sigma, because that is the Sigma is amazing versus the Sigma, but it is an unusual take. Now, you do have Merit, who is arguably one of the best, probably the top 2 or top 3 Sojourns in the entire world. But I think that there also could have been a good argument for just running out in full Lucio and making it work. But it worked quite well. Smurf likes Doom, someone Sig, Bernard kind of flicks between the Sigma. Junker Queen with Lucio is good with Sig. Okay, but basically these are all the notes that I have here. What do I think of Junkrat? Probably not too good. Now, you guys are asking why the Ana BAP? Well, the short answer is it's not Brig. Basically, here's the thing, is that you look at this composition. What's the theory of this composition? The theory of this composition is you're going to take multiple different spam angles and basically go around the Rhine Shield and actually put out poke pressure. Violet seems super, super disillusioned with the Kiriko. Now, I would not play Kiriko here because there's no other dive DPS to pair it with. So basically what this is basically you pair, your Batiste basically keeps the core alive, and your Shu basically just takes angles and does damage with the Ana's. I think this is okay. The only problem is that the lack of Lucio speed means that you're always going to be rolling out slow to the fight. I do think that this composition could function quite well with a BAP Lucio. I really do. I think you'd put a lot of pressure on Rhine Shield. You'd be able to kite their engages easier. You'd be able to push your advantages easier. I don't know if it's map specific thing where they didn't feel that there was as much need to rotate. But I think the BAP on it is okay in theory. I just don't know if I like it on King of the Hill. I don't know if I like it King of the Hill. Because the Lucio speed is so powerful. Why not play Iliari then if you want to off-angle DPS? Well, the thing with Iliari is that the lack of ranged heal is like a really, really, really tough thing with her. I think the Iliari could have worked, but here's a little bit of juice, okay? And I've said this already before, but Houston was not doing well with BAP Iliari and scrims. As of like a month and a half, 2 months ago, whenever the Iliari patch, Houston was surprisingly not doing well. They were not doing well. So I don't know if Violet is just not comfortable in the Iliari. That's probably the most likely answer. But I do think that a BAP Iliari comp could have worked there. It might be that BAP Ana is slightly stronger in terms of the utility. And the more likely answer is that it's just a little bit of a hero comfort pick. Zen BAP. Zen is too fragile. Zen with Lucio speed would probably have been sped on. And I think the ultimate is not quite as valuable as Nano. So I think this is more of a question of why BAP Iliari? Well, why not BAP Ana? I think Ana is also ridiculously strong, and the ultimate's a little bit better. So yeah. Why choose immobile DPS to take angles of Rhine? That's the thing, is I don't think that that's what Houston's playing for. I think Houston's playing for more of the frontline pressure with the Sigma, and then have, like, if anything, the support takes the angles around. You could go around the Rhine, but that doesn't seem to be their strategy. The lack of range heals is indeed Iliari's biggest weakness. And you can see the problem with Lucio speed right here. Like you really have to open an off angle almost immediately just to be able to break the choke. She just dies. What do you think of Sim instead of Sojourn? It could work. It could work with the Rhine. I think one of the problems with the Symmetra that I noticed is if you don't have a Bastion of your own, you sometimes don't really have the punching power. I think it was it Boston versus Florida? Boston was running a lot of like Sim May variants, and they really just were not able to kill Bastion in time. So I think the Sojourn, she builds rail with her E. I think there's a little bit more punch power off of like you commit, you push, the rail is just a little bit more lethal. Are they expecting Rhine? I would guess so. I know Florida definitely knew that they were going to roll out in Sigma. Thus the Sojourn swap. Is the May pick because of Bastion? Yeah, I mean, basically what Houston's trying to do is they're utilizing the Bastion turret form, the Sigma shield, the BAP sustain, and most importantly, the May wall to slow down Mayhem's push. Anytime Mayhem tries to push, they're going to counter May wall and basically make it harder and slower for them to actually commit off of a push. Like you can see it right there. There's the push, dead in the water, right? It makes it really, really awkward. It allows them to burn Rhine shield a little bit and chip down their HP, and which indirectly is what actually gets them the kill. That May wall right there. Nice little bounce nade there. So someone has no shield because of that May wall. Just to open up replay viewer, man, what are they going to do? You know what's funny? There was a certain person on the certain Overwatch League team that I may or may not have replay viewer access of that was encouraging me to do this. And I just was like, I don't know, bro. Here's my thing. To me, it's less about like, I'm not like scared of like getting in trouble because I don't think that's going to happen. It's more of just like, if they ask, they don't want me to do it. I don't want to be that guy. I like, unless the rule is like actively toxic, in which case I will gladly be a lawbreaker. I don't know. I just don't. That May wall, again, you can kind of see that slows down their May wall push and allows Violet to actually rotate around and also waste their amp. Civil disobedience is A-okay with me when you're disobeying something that actually is more of like an ethical thing, right? But to me, I don't think it's that important, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Viola doing a tremendous job, right? Is the only support there at the time, keeping everybody on the Outlaws topped up. The Outlaws, they do have that Bastion in the mix.
Stay strong. I'm trying, mates. But yeah, Houston does a really good job there. Slowing down that rotate. And even this here, right? It makes that rotate so much slower. They're able to get their punish on point. And do you see the pincer here? Do you see the Bastion pincer and the Sigma pincer here? I actually think that this is like, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this. I actually think that this is not the most amazing rotation from Florida. I think this is like, you guys kind of see the weakness of this rotation, where the rotation exposes them immediately to a double off angle. Obviously, you don't want to like walk through a choke into May, but honestly, that might be the better option just to keep everything in front of you, or even doing a far rotation so that you can keep everything in front, because this is a nasty pincer from Houston. Because the fact that would have had to force a lamp and a shift, even if RuPaul was playing it perfectly, is a major problem. Rotating through coast is better, but it's not an immediate answer because it puts your Rhine so far away from that backline. I honestly just feel like, especially given the fact that the old economy is like not like that big of a deal, I probably just rotate as 4, a 5 on the top right, and especially because they don't have a Lucio speed in their own, and I think you could have done very well off of that.
He saw that grenade bounce off the wall and come around the corner. It's just his two teammates did not.
What's the question about Reinhardt? Fearless hasn't played Rhine like, yeah. It's more of like, I don't think Fearless would be able to play Rhine. Big Hoss Real, somewhere in between. Somewhere in between. Because the thing is an off angles, you off angled from your tank, but there isn't a tank. So basically, you just pray that your DPS off angle, and if their DPS don't off angle, then you set up your own off angle.
Didn't receive the healing from that Baptiste ability, where this is a good start for the Outlaws. Already 40% and counting here.
So I'm fairly certain. Yeah, there's the coast rotate. But see, the distance here is still a problem, right? Like you lose the off angle. There's the fake rotate. You guys see this? This is nice. The big sleep dart, actually, and a really big nade. There's your Ana value, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why she was jumping into the middle of them. I think that's a misplay. But this is why this is more than Iliari could have done. I mean, that's just disgusting. That's disgusting. Sleep nade value through the roof.
I mean, there's no way to live through that, right?
Houston's doing a phenomenal job setting up angles. Florida's trying to make the rotates happen, but yeah.
I think we'll obviously see how this series progresses.
He's escaping from Merritt. Got it.
That the Outlaws can play this and win fights consistently against this Reinhardt comp definitely throws a wrench into some of what the Mayhem thought about coming into this series.
Hiding May.
It's now or never. They're going to now overclock the Blizzard coming in, but first Pelican drops it down. It has to be an ice block immediately from Checkmate. Off to the left here.
This is a huge misplay. This is a huge misplay from Houston. You cannot be this slow to rotate. And I don't know if Pelican got scouted, but it's also really, really important that he waits on this a full half second later, because this May ult is actually massive. Ryan is frozen, BAP is split, Ice Block is forced, and both of these squishies are isolated, and Houston is unable to capitalize. Like, you got to be looking back at this if you're Houston and absolutely kicking yourself, because you had the freest setup for a fight win in the world, and you're unable to do anything out of it. What's up, Calix? Alcondras, do tanks need to be about feeding railgun charge? Yeah. I mean, it's a problem. It was more of an issue in previous meta, like last grand finals, but yeah, it's important. So this is a huge. I think Florida also is split there, which is why they scouted Pelican. But this hurts. This hurts really, really bad. And that big of an ultimate and nothing happens. Not even a lamp. Sojourn ult, May ult, or May wall. There's the nano on Bastion. Checkmate melts immediately. There is the shatter. Lamp has to be used. Someone is 1 HP. Artillery strike combo with Sigma Flux. Thank you, mate. I hope so too. Someone's 1. Yeah. Houston does a phenomenal job opening up angles, range pressure. Florida, I honestly think really should have just rotated top right. I really think they should have just rotated top right. I think Florida trolled that rotation by splitting the middle and then rotating towards coast, which I don't like in that. If they needed to go no Lucio speed, guys, that rotation's free. We have Ryan, they have Sigma, we have Lucio, they don't. That rotation's free. Even into the May wall, you have a May of your own, shouldn't be an issue. And that's where almost like you would almost rather have a Bastion for that sort of a strategy instead of a Sojourn as well. I don't think you need to, but yeah. So,
what did you think about London's performance?
I mean, they did okay. Boston just had their number. Like, Boston just knew exactly how to play versus their composition. I think they did okay. There was definitely some fumbles there. It's been a while since I saw the match, but yeah, I mean, it was okay. I think Boston played it well. Now, this is a fun one to me. This is a point-specific composition from Houston. This is not a new meta. This is a high ground specific point with a lot of really, really open space, which is why you see all the picks that you do. Again, the Anabap. The Diva is just because she can cycle point and dive high ground at the same time. She's really, really, really good in this point. And the same thing goes with both the Hanzo and the Echo as well. So
happy on Hanzo, so a complete change of pace here from the
the problem, though, is if you get counterpicked in any way, shape, or form, then things might get a little bit messy. But yeah, Ilios Lighthouse, yeah. So Florida's trying to rotate in.
And what they could have thought, actually, is that they were going to come out on something different than the Reinhardt. Like, are they going to come out on, like, Sigma or Zarya, something completely different?
I don't think any comp is good versus what Houston does, unless you run some sort of a Tracer variant. Maybe a Sigma Tracer would do okay.
Play that Reinhardt again.
Pelican here, teasing at the edges, pulling on
But see, they're already on point. They're already whittling down a little bit of that HP, a little bit of that shield. And just the time bot for somebody to make a play, and the odds on the Anabap Hanzo Echo team that it's more likely that they're going to make the play, right? So, and there it is, right? Like, obviously phenomenal shots, but it's really, 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 really good stuff. Like, really nice map control there, really good space control, good patience, and Florida has to swap.
Years of the Overwatch League, A lot of those come from Happy, right? He's able, think back.
There's the Sigma, better equipped to deal with the spam. I think Sigma is amazing versus these sort of backlines. Your shield gets so much value. Your range pressure gets so much value. Obviously, lacking the mobility on Koth is problematic, but yeah, I think it's good. You do have a Lucio though, so that helps.
That dominated so much of this year, Happy was relegated to being a role player, someone less involved in the spotlight. Pelican got to play the Echo and a lot of the...
And you can see the angles from both the tank, the front line, and even the Echo here. Like it makes these rotations so miserable.
I mean, these comps in a lot of way, right? Fit the Outlaws players much better outside
Nade.
of Fearless, right?
Absolutely. Pelican as a duplicator, you saw a biode landed onto someone that really slows the Mayhem.
Sojourn isolated. Oh, she's low.
He's low. He's able to get a health back, but Pelican thought about pushing a little harder.
Now I want to see what happens here. So I don't know how Bernard dies. And I think it happens off screen. I think he's on the back line. And BAP window and Bernard gets melted. So I don't know if his team is just not peeking, but that's a bit of a mistake. He does get the remake, and it does trade that for May ult, or a BAP window. But then Bernard does not get the remake. Yeah, so I think what actually ends up happening there is Bernard gets caught by May and can't actually remake, because if he stops the freeze for the remake animation, he gets headshot by the May. So a little bit of a misplay there. I don't know what happened from the Outlaws backline there and the front line, but that was a misplay. No way that Bernard should die there. No way. I don't know that it will matter so much. Zoning Blizzard, and Houston's able to make it work. A little peek at the replay viewer would let us know.
For the Florida Mayhem.
Jake on the next set of 4-0 for Houston. That's
Where was Blizz? Letter of the law. Ladies and gentlemen. Letter of the law. Letter of the law. You got me? Oh, I can look at replays. I just can't stream it. This is the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. The fact that this is even the way that I have to do this is just unbelievably brain dead. Okay. Okay, let's take a look here. What happens with Bernard? Angle is good with Bernard. We talked about that already. Pursuit is okay. I would have... He uses boosters a little bit late. Oh, and he hard commits. Yeah, he hard ends off of the window on the backline instead of like playing it slow, and basically ends his entire HP. And then, as predicted, checkmate drops on him, so he can't actually properly remix. So it's a mistake from Bernard. Shu looks like he gets his nade blocked. No, he has to use his nade defensively because I think Violet scuffs his rotation. Yeah, Violet scuffs his rotation a little bit, and Shu panics. But Violet, I think, was fine. Yeah, so misplay by Bernard. And then checkmate. Yeah, so checkmate's on point. And Checkmate just yeets his Blizzard into the BAP window, but then Outlaws just walk away. Yeah, okay. So, okay, making sure I'm on the right thing here. Basically what happens here is Bernard over here off to the right. He doesn't really press W until too late, and then he presses W when he really shouldn't. What's up, Dry Ice?
A little harder. He'll take a sidebar here, but he'll be locked in this 1v1 for a moment now. Meanwhile, Immortality feels deployed
and then right here, this is the nade is used defensively on Violet when he really didn't need it. And then here, the Blizzard is yeeted. He literally yeets the Blizzard from point up onto the high ground, and then these guys just walk away from it. So yeah. There's no codes to share though, because it's not like live. I mean, Lucio's needed to kind of help rotate, you know? Because you still, even though you're playing like, more like spammier with a Sigma, you still can't, you need to get closer with the May. You need to get closer with the BAP, the Sojourn, than you do with the Hanzo Echo.
Yeah, I mean, Nano, do you give this to Pelican, right?
So I feel like the play here is probably to Bernard. By the way, goes Sigma because better than the spam mirror. The Divas, you're gonna get like it's just totally fine. You roll out on Diva because you don't really know what they're gonna go on, but I think the Sigma provides a little bit more here. I still think the Diva would be fine, but yeah. I think Nano Echo definitely the play here. I don't remember what they actually do. Yeah, they Nano Echo. That forces beat. That forces lamp. And as long as Houston can survive. But I think Bernard just got rocked out of his shift. Yeah, he got rocked out of his shift. Ouchies. So that's going to force a lamp. Shu just gets railed. Someone has the flux. Happy does kill Merit. I think Houston just plays this one with a little bit like too much hubris. I think they need to be a little bit more patient there. They needed to know that flux beat. I mean, like that. Like you just need to give up a little bit more space. Like if Bernard plays that one a little bit slower. And doesn't int as much of his HP as he did, and a little bit more respect, I think Houston's in a good shot to win this one. It's not the end of the world that they lost it, because it was 2-for-1, but I think in general, Houston needed to give up a little bit more space into that beat. Instead of watching us on stream, just come, yeah, we'll do that. That's a good idea. I mean, do you know how much of that was on him? I mean, he got railed in the head. That's on him. To be honest.
And Matrix here for RuPaul. A lot was spent by the Mayhem in the previous fight, but someone always surged forward.
I mean, that's just... It's just a great play. Now, what's kind of funny to me is they actually go Diva on the retake. Now, I don't know if that's because they want to leverage point pressure again, you know? But it's definitely odd. Because one Sigma Shield and Rock just really shuts this down right here. Like right now. Sigma Shield and Rock completely shuts this down. So it's a ballsy play from Florida. He eats both cooldowns, and they just push off of the BAP order. To be honest with you, that's mechanics, it's team play. Florida's going to win those all day long. Wait, what? Oh, I forgot about this. That's great. Why they make this play? Because they're Lucio speed comp. Florida does this stuff all the time. They speed in, they close the distance, they run you over. Was it necessary given the old economy? No. But because it wasn't necessary is why Houston wasn't ready for it. And so it's like there's an inherent advantage out of just catching people off guard. Can I break down their mic for that remake? No. He was forcing them to either kill him or allow him to get the remake, one or the other. Ooh. Wait, Merit is just hiding behind. Merit is literally just hiding behind. Yeah, and see, that's all it takes, right? It's a perfectly timed push. Look at the Lucio speed with the Sigma from the front. Look at the BAP pressure. Look at the Sojourn angle. And so look at where the Diva Matrix, look at where the support of the Houston Outlaws is. They're looking at Merit. So who dies first? Happy, who's not by himself. It's just a perfect team play. Cheers, Striker. It's just perfect team play, right? Really, really good execution by Florida. Houston could have maybe potentially scouted this, but like, there's copy used. He's not able to get it back in. Florida has won 2 fights for basically nothing.
Welcoming them to come to the point. They're pushing up, they're bullying them behind Shorong's speed boost. That is another team.
And now you're entering this fight and you're going to have essentially 4 ultimates. You know, like this is the thing. Houston, Florida made team plays. They didn't only make good mechanical plays, but they popped off in a team play aspect. They just won 2 fights off of 1 ultimate for each. 1 for each. And they also forced a copy in response. And so now Houston is not only full swapping here, but they don't even necessarily have the ult bank advantage. Like Florida should win this fight. Best Sigma right now, probably Bernard. Definitely Bernard. Huh. Dude, the amount of flanking that was happening in this playoffs was actually unbelievable from really all the teams. BAP windows used. D.Va has to touch. D.Va does touch. They have to use Nano on D.Va defensively because she gets rocked and is 1 HP. Zoning Blizzard kind of sort of. Beat is used. If that hits anybody, they're dead. It does. And Violet's now dead. And this is, there really just isn't a good answer for this. This is why Lucio is so important, because it allows you to disengage ultimates like this, but Houston is unable to disengage any of these ultimates. You know, when you get your Ana BAP set up, it's really easy to win fights just through raw poke pressure, regardless. But instead, what's happening is Houston lost a retake that they shouldn't have lost. They've lost 2 just straight up good team play pushes from Mayhem. And then now this fight, even though they're trying their best, I mean, look, what do they have? This. Meanwhile, these guys had 1, 2, 3, 4, and map control. You just don't win that fight. Here's the thing: when you let people win fights that they shouldn't, you make it so hard for yourself on retake because you end up pushing into an ult advantage for the enemy team. Yes, this will go up on YouTube. Best Sigma is Poco. Sigma is Poco's worst off tank, unironically. That's one of my patrons, by the way. Is Lucio BAP crutch for team play? What do you mean?
Back to the Bastion for Happy.
I think just like if you see these.
So again, like on a BAP, open space, like must use. I just for the brawl comps that they're running, yes. But no. Team play has nothing to do with the supports that you're running. It just Lucio BAP good with rush comp. That's it.
Comps here coming out the start. I think you got to like the Outlaws with how they played early on in that first round.
People associate Lucio with team play because Lucio has fewer mechanical pop-offs, like visible. But you could pop off on spam comp just as on team play, just as much as you can with Lucio comp. It just doesn't always look as obvious, right? It looks more like, oh, you hit a shot, but nobody's paying attention to how you were able to have that shot set up. Why are you back on Ryan? Because Ryan's good. It's Koth. It's Ryan Lucio's good. Ryan Lucio's freaking good, especially because you know that these guys are going to play a lot of Sigma stuff, right? So having some form of like Lucio rush comp is like really, really good. Ryan Lucio is good into Bastion. And Bastion is the meta right now. At least it was in the playoffs. Is Lucio BAP okay with Doom Dive? It's not as optimal. It can be hard to heal the Doom.
Merit is the wild card here, I feel. Yeah.
I mean, you can look at how much they're choked out, right, without the Lucio.
Very powerful way to deal with the front line.
Will Florida be able to close the distance? There's a turret. There's Ice Block. There's Ryan Shield. It's actually a pretty good Bastion turret in terms of CDs forced. It's not terrible. Rock is used. Really unfortunate series of cooldowns used here. This is like back-breaking cooldown usage from Houston. So, Rock is kind of wasted. Nade is fine. Sleep Dart is used on Sojourn. Nade is used on Sojourn, but so is the Mei Wall. And so, this Sojourn is able to control the off angle and like 3 of Florida's most powerful cooldowns were just chunked into nothing. You need this Mei wall to stop the Rhine push. You need the Mei wall behind the Rhine as he pushes to cut off the Bap Lucio and the Mei, and now it's gone. You need the sleep dart for the Reinhardt, it's gone. You need the grenade for the backliner for Rhine Shield, it's now gone. Really bad series of old, and I don't even know why Pelican used his Mei wall here. This is simply a situation where you would just walk onto the Sojourn. She's right there. The Rhine is low and naded. Pelican just needs to walk onto the Sojourn and clear it out. This is a terrible play from Houston. And so they're trying to rotate away, but this Mei wall should be here. This Mei wall should be right here. And sleep dart right here, or even here. Right? And Bastion grenade right here. It's gone. Like Florida's cooking. It's over. Nade is good. Lamp is huge from RuPaul. Look at this. RuPaul holds the angle, doesn't actually push with his team because he doesn't need to. He knows the status of Checkmate. So Checkmate's able to greed it out just a little bit, right? And even though someone dies, it takes him freaking forever to die, and he forces so many cooldowns, gets everybody 1 HP, and more importantly, look at the map control that Florida controls. Look at the angles that Florida controls. For Houston to re-push, it's almost impossible. Like, it's so difficult. So they group up, they rotate top. This is the right play. Nade misses. Violet's feeding. What is going on here? So Bernard... What? Why are we not clearing high ground, ladies and gentlemen? Houston just gets sloppy. Houston gets really sloppy. Bernard needs to continue to rotate around and choke out the Bap. Bap needs to stand on his high ground. This Bap needs to stay on high ground with Happy. Pelican needs to be supported to rotate and go clear out Merit by himself. But Houston just runs on the point. They just walk on the point. Violet gets low. Demand's on a pocket. Bap is on point. Pelican is doing the right thing, but because Violet's feeding and Bernard's not actually properly choking out this here, they're not able to get as much value as they ought to. Like, Pelican should be getting hard pocket, but Pelican is not getting hard pocket. And because Pelican is not getting hard pocket, Pelican dies. So now all, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, because Bernard did not actually properly rotate, look who's here. All this space that Bernard should be controlling is now gone. I think it's just a really bad push from Houston. It's not just Bernard. Violet, not good. Happy, not good. Yeah, this is not good. Violet a feeder? Yes, Violet's a feeder. Violet is the GOAT, but Violet is also the feeder. That's disastrous. Like, Houston fumbles the start of that fight pretty badly, has an opportunity to turn it around, and then completely fumbles the bag. Yeah, that one hurts. That one really, really hurts. And then now you got to retake into a Lucio comp. Rough. Early Sojourn. Lamp is used. Lamp is used on both sides. It's a massive nade from Shu. Checkmate has to flee for his life. Bastion ult used in pursuit. It keeps everybody low, but it doesn't really force any ultimates. And again, another flank that just straight up wins in the fight. That's it. No speed to kite this out, by the way. No speed to kite this out, by the way. So someone dies, but it doesn't matter. That's it. Calix, remind me after the on Saturday. Not a great time right now. Although I'm very much looking forward to it. So yeah, there's the Lucio. The Ana Bap was fine-ish. I think the Ana Lucio or Bap Lucio would have. I think I would have liked Bap Lucio a lot better. Yeah. But I think the Ana Bap had space to work. You just here's the thing. Ana Bap, I would describe. Derpy, thanks for the sub. I would describe the Ana Bap composition as being very snowbally. If you're able to win the first fight consistently and get your Ana Bap set up, it could be very difficult to play into because the amount of pressure and space that but it can be very difficult to like rotate, push, clear out angles, like and take fights because you're so slow. Let's put it this way. The Ana BAP loose is like the defensive turret that you're able to set up. Like if you have the time to set up your bunker, it's really strong. But if you don't have time to set up your bunker, then you're in serious trouble.
Is it too late?
It seemed like a solution that they wanted to try, and it worked at moments. But you know, when you can't afford to make mistakes. Let's put it that way. You can't afford to make mistakes. Like you can't give away free fights because you don't have like the comeback potential. And then this is just, you know, Pelican just doesn't get healed. This is why people run BAP in these comps, because it's so hard for like Ana to like selectively heal everybody, where BAP just aims in the general middle. But they don't go BAP because the Shu had on a nano and Violet didn't, and you know, so it's like there's the nano in the Bastion. It's a monstrous shatter. No, they actually nanoed the Lucio. I forgot this. They actually nanoed the Lucio, and it's just over. And then I think Shorong just Reddits Shu. Yeah, Shu tries to walk forward when he really shouldn't have tried to walk forward. He should have kept his space, and it's just, it's over. Like, Houston just made so many mistakes. And Florida really doesn't even, like, make any crazy mechanical pop-offs, so much as they have a couple of really nice team fight plans on the second round, and they just let Houston make mistakes. I think Merit hitting the rail on Pelican was the closest thing we have to a mechanical pop-off, but even then, Pelican got literally zero healing that entire push because his BAP and Sigma were kind of trolling. So I don't necessarily question the BAP Ana as much as some people might. I think it was understandable given the circumstances of what Houston was trying to do versus the Rhine Bastion. I understand where I think people were like less sold on the Kiriko value into the like the Rhine stuff, and so they wanted to play something that could put out pressure that wasn't Brig, especially if you aren't going to be playing Tracer, right? So I think like the comps here are I think Houston, the fact that Houston can't mirror or can't play around that, practically Megan think if the sub is a problem. But I think it's not the problem. You think that was like a mental boom? I have no idea. I really don't know, Calix. I don't know Houston. And this is where like I don't really want to speculate. Like I don't know what their players are like. I don't know what they're coming in the moment. And obviously there's a lot of pressure. So there's a chance, yes. But yeah. So this is a map specific comp. Like Houston in general wants to run basically heavy spam characters. And they run characters with some mobility that can take angles. The previous map, not as much verticality, so just basically bite the bullet and run May Bastion. But any map, like you saw it on the previous one, right? Echo, Hanzo, when there's space. When there's high ground, when there's space. Hey, to Beast Doctor. Hello. So yeah. Now, people are probably asking why Symmetra on this map? Big map. Big map. TP very useful. I disagree, Slugger. That might be the case. I don't know what people think, but pros do boom often. Good scouting, really important scouting actually on the choke. Dude, I don't know where Merit is. Where the frick is Merit? The Merit's here. And good patience from Houston here. The Bastion is mostly just to break the choke because the Hanzo doesn't provide enough value when you're trying to break the choke and you can't really take an angle on the choke. Yeah, the stress of playing professionally makes it worse. No, yeah. It's also the fact that a lot of these guys are like total degens. So they're young, degenerate video game players in a high stress environment on stage. Or even just in scrims, right? Yeah, they're like, yeah. It's a good Maywall, but it's a good rock and punish as well. Like, Houston does a really, really good job. I really like Houston's comp here. I really like Houston's comp. You could argue that Lucio would function as well here, BAP Lucio. Again, because you can kind of bait the engage, disengage. You can boop the Rhine away, you can boop the Mei away, you can boop the Sim away. And you're not really getting consistently a ton of cooldown value, depending on how well someone plays. But yeah.
Sigma right around the corner, the Bastion who pumps out.
And again, with a Reinhardt and all, because your Reinhardt's trying to stay hidden.
And if you can live through these aggressive comps, I would say that one kind of, it's not even like really a knock on the floor at Mayhem, but like, hey, what's this?
Ooh.
The damage is high ground. Chorong doesn't
TP for a BAP window. They hide underneath. Card is still moving.
so there was one thing that
Card is contested. They push to drop. They BAP window in response. Again, another kite. The good news, though, is that it forces a really, really nasty split. And Float is not able to kite out of it. That's the echo value you can see right there. The angles that Pelican was able to take that no other DPS could. Ryan dead.
This is working out beautifully for the Outlaws now.
Violet somehow dies, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah. I really like the way Houston play this. Why they play Sigma to Ryan Lucio? Why not Orisa? I think it's more of a stylistic choice more than anything else, because the Orisa would be able to put out consistent pressure, but I don't think she'd be able to put out as much pressure as an Orisa. She doesn't do as much damage as an Orisa. I think the shield is useful. I think Bernard is probably a better Sigma than he is Orisa, although he was a phenomenal Orisa. I could really see arguments for both, to be honest with you. I can really see arguments for both. My immediate gut instinct is that maybe because you're running the backline that you are. Okay, here are my two guesses really quick. I haven't really thought about this one as much, so I'm a little slow with it, right? My first guess is because you're running on a BAP Bastion, you can greed your tank because you don't need Orisa's tankiness if you're playing with that squishy of a backline. Because if you're focusing Sigma as the Mayhem, you're dying to on a BAP Bastion Echo. You got me? So you can run the greedier tank, because if they focus the greedier tank, Sigma can still survive long enough, and you're gonna get punished. You need to try to focus on Bastion or BAP or on, right? So why not run the greedier tank, right? The tank that does more damage. The second thing is what Anima says. The Orisa needs the Lucio more to be able to move around a little bit more. Whereas Sigma's range means that he's not as reliant off of the Lucio. So the Orisa feels like it's more of a push and pull, let's say an alter ego version of the Rhine comp, basically used to spoil your fun. Whereas the Outlaws comp feels like a totally different strategy, where it's more about spamming, disrupting, putting early pressure. And it's not really about pushing and pulling. It's definitely a lot more static. The Orisa is more about disrupting, like you said, pushing and pulling, diving, brawling at different points in times. Whereas this comp is more about put out as much damage as possible early and often, and disrupt through that. The Sigma, yeah, I think Sigma does enable his Bastion more, but I think the other two things are the more important one. I think it's more about the fact that Houston doesn't plan on moving as much and just wants to put out as much damage as he possibly can, and knows that if you focus the Sigma, you're going to get punished for it.
fast on the side of the Florida Mayhem, so you have that biotic grenade to deal with. There's no Korean biotic grenade down. You force it early immortality field to keep those players up. You still have yours. You're at a huge advantage.
But now trying to control the high ground. The Mayhem are approaching, and he knows it, so it's a gravitic.
It's definitely an early combo, but I mean, it does the job, right?
What a garnish! Chorong is taken down.
To me, this is just a mistake of, like, I don't know what Happy's doing.
But now trying to control the high
Players up. You still have
Like, I'm certain that Happy used his turret form right here.
ground. The Mayhem are approaching.
I'm fairly certain. I don't know why he Bastion ulted there, though. That was really silly. That was really silly.
What a garnish! On the
And I actually don't even know where Lamp was.
Mayhem are approaching, and he knows it, so it's a
I don't even know where Lamp was. Like, where's Lamp here? Lamp is very, very, very late. Let me, chat, somebody was at the door here. Give me a second to check the door. So it's a bad grenade from Happy to start things off. That is a bizarre... chat, one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my life just happened. Happy didn't actually use his turret. He has a bad grenade. The flux happens. And he immediately presses... What? He presses turret and then cancels it into his ult. He turret forms on the flux, but then cancels the turret form immediately into his ultimate. So there's a major miscommunication. Because he's like, oh shoot, I have to ult the flux, right? But that's a really bad mistake, because if he has his turret form, he would have been able to live, because he could have used the turret form to actually drop out. He would have had turret form there. He would have had turret form. And then also Violet is super late with a lamp. I'm looking at Violet's POV here. Yeah, he's just super late with a lamp. I think, honestly, I'm not going to lie with you guys. You could have made a good argument that Shu should have nanoed him as well. Did Shu have LOS to nano? Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, I mean, really, really poor from really all three of the Outlaws there. Any one of those things, nano, better communication with the turret, or lamp better, and this fight goes totally differently. That one hurts. That one really hurts. There's just no way that this isn't a clean team fight win. Because that would have hit Mayhem at a really crucial moment. 4 shatter, no beat. You know, you're up 1, and they choke it. And they also, like, look at it. They have no space right now, so they're unable to, like, actually continue any pressure with their ults. And so they just sit on point. And then Merit hits a shot from an angle, which, by the way, they just vacated. Actually, why does Bernard drop? Why does Bernard drop? I just now realized that. Why did he drop? Oh my gosh, they literally lose the fight because he drops. Merit retakes the high ground and they're able to fully kite out his damage. Oh man, Pelican should have had cart push there. BAP and Sigma on high. That's a huge misplay by Houston. I mean, Houston is just not deserving this right now. That one hurts, man. That one really hurts. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Anima. That one hurts. When should you drop? Never. If you can have somebody to push cart, never. Never drop. Unless like just have somebody on cart and take an angle. Not with the comp that they're running. And now again, it's what here's the thing, is when you lose the fights that you shouldn't lose, you will not be able to win the fights that you should lose. Because now you go into the situation right now, and it's like, not only did you crap the bed in the previous fight, so now this next fight is unwinnable. Because now they have the old advantage, right? I wouldn't say an old advantage, but about pretty darn close.
That's what's on the menu here. But what is this for, right? Are you going to duplicate and then get the nano after? I mean, everybody's just hiding in corners.
And they have the beat to bail him out here, so. They nano the Bastion. Pin the Sigma, which is kind of fortunate, but then they just beat engage, and Merit's just gonna smoke him. I don't really think there's a whole lot to learn from this, to be honest. They just didn't scout the Rhine, you know? So free, no turret form, no lamp is not there in time. again, it's just kind of one of the situations where like look at this composition, and this feels absolutely terrible when they're all grouped up in a small room and this team pushes you. It just feels terrible. It's a compositional weakness for sure, but I think this has to like you have to like give credit to Florida here, because whenever Houston does any one of these rotations, Florida hits them on the rotation every single time. They're using that Lucio speed boost. They're using that May brawl potential. They're using that Ryan brawl potential every single time. Houston is unable. Like, I think if you're Houston here, you just have to do so much better job scouting and being more patient. Clear angles, keep them at distance. Clear angles, keep them at distance. And they just don't. And this goes back even to the final round, right? Or the last round. It's hard, yes, but you have to be able to scout that stuff out. You cannot let Florida get on top of you that full on cooldowns. They will annihilate you. So it does cost them 2 ultimates, which is pretty crucial. Wait, is that 3 ultimates? It's a bit of an overult from Florida, I'm not going to lie. But, yeah. Cheers, Zusi. So this is good. You're going to play nice and patient. I like the Hanzo here. There's a lot more space with the Hanzo. The Bastion's not like necessary to break through the choke as it was before. You're putting a little bit of pressure on point, I think, with Echo. I don't love this rotation from Happy. Feels a little bit early. But this is how Houston needs to play. Nice and patient, clear angles, clear high ground. Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there, but that's fine. See, like if you're Houston here, this is actually okay of a setup. You've got point pressure. You've cleared the high ground. You've created a little bit of distance. Yes, it costs you an ultimate, but this is okay. Ah, Violet. Violet has to be able to track this. What is Violet doing? Chat, my door is ringing again. What's going on here? So maybe the BAP window should have been enough. I think having to use the Echo copy as well kind of sucks. But they do get the high ground cleared. Violet literally just stands out in the open and does not drop, does not rotate to cover. He just stands out in the open. He has both abilities, and instead of falling back, dropping to cart, he does neither and just stands out in the open. He even had the opportunity to actually lamp himself, and he doesn't do it in time. Because this fight is actually so winnable for Outlaws. So winnable for Outlaws. Because as you can see, like, look at Mayhem, right? Really, really quite ugly, honestly. Like, this feels really bad. Baps here? I think Outlaws win this. That one hurts. That one hurts.
Already over in time. Here's a ticking. And you don't have that big wombo combo, right? You don't have that Bastion artillery plus that Gravitic flux here coming up.
That hurts, man, if you're Houston. I mean, how many times have they snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory, right? Like, I think Florida is rightfully struggling to control space. Like, I'm not. When Houston gets space, Florida's composition should have a really hard time retaking it, and they're doing it. Yeah, thank you, Anima. I can't see him.
No beat on the other side, so he's making sure Bernard can get a full channel of the Gravitic flux out, but someone already turns up. Here's gonna be Pelican get the nano. He slept. Pelican trying to wrap around the shield, but it's gonna be. What's Bernard looking for here?
Okay, so they're gonna nano echo for space. They force a lot. They force lamp, they force shield, they force Maywall. They do get space out of it. It feels kind of bad, but it's not the end of the world. Huge flux. And he's dead. Monstrous. Now, chat, Surely they're able to win this one out. Beat is used. He messes up the pin. Violet actually doesn't place the lamp perfectly, but the peel is there. Yeah, they clutch it out. Nice. But you see how it's okay to use an ultimate to get space, right? It's okay to use an ultimate to get space. Just as long as you close it out. What would happen if you do stream the replay viewer? I have no idea. To me, it's less about like the scare of the consequences, just they don't want me to stream it, so I'm not going to stream it. I don't understand why, but whatever.
Frustrating for the Mayhem. Looking like they were going to put this to a stop again at someone bang from an off angle. Here's a rude awakening. The dragon is hungry.
Dragon is pretty good, but check out Mayhem. Look at the flank here, y'all. I mean, how many times have we seen that, guys? The lamp is late. Violet's caught off by surprise, and Violet will die too. That's just unbelievable. It's just team play, y'all. It's just team play. Yeah, Clairvoyant, what did they tell you? What happened when you put it on Twitter? Did Team 4 come after you? And this is, again, total backbreaker. Total backbreaker. You're just now regrouping. Someone said, speed me. Gotcha. Ouch. Dupe wasted as well, yep. Florida's doing a great job forcing errors. Like that, the last two fights have been Florida forcing errors. I don't even want to necessarily say. I think second point, Houston fumbled the bag. I think Houston fumbled the bag on second point. I don't think it was Florida playing well. I think Houston just crapped the bed. The last two fights, though, I think you got to give credit to Florida. The word on the street with a replay viewer has something to do with Team 4, with Blizzard Overwatch guys themselves, and not necessarily the Overwatch League team. The reason why I jokingly lampoon Sean is the fact that nobody in the Overwatch League bothers to communicate why it's not available and refuses any sort of answer. I've tagged Sean Miller. We've asked over and over again, nothing. Again, this is just crazy to me. Florida, dude. Florida just, and that's it. That's fight. Flanks, ladies and gentlemen. Flanks, ladies and gentlemen, and that's it. Florida winning through team play, flank angles, and creativity in their planning. Houston winning through just grinding out map control. But there's a big gap in how these teams are like finally like executing. And so, yeah. Is the replay viewer similar? No, the replay viewer. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you guys know how you go into you log into Overwatch and you like pull up one of your matches and it's the replay viewer? That's all the replay viewer is. That's literally all it is. It's just the replay viewer, like from a normal Overwatch game. Nothing different. The only thing different is the main menu is a little bit different. Like it just shows like match, but that's it. That works just as fine. It's no stats, no nothing. It's just the replays.
They're going to wrap the right-hand side. This is pretty customary. Merritt going ahead here. Pelican opting to cede that high ground.
Houston can't close out space. Houston will get the space and then fumble the bag once they have the space. At least that's what happened on second point. And that also happened on King of the Hill as well. They would get the space and then they'd closing it. I mean, really, guys, think about that. That's how they lost. They fumbled on the retake on the second point of Antarctica, which they couldn't retake into. And they got surprised by flanks over and over and over again, right? That's been the story of the series so far, right? On the third point, right? They won the first fight, basically. And then all grouped up and rushed on the point instead of pushing angles. And then Florida clutches that one too. And then on all the retakes, Florida's on up. Somebody's ratting. Somebody's hiding with it. Someone with it's checkmate. Somebody's on or Merritt. Somebody's hiding and ratting. And Houston gets surprised every time. Houston's literally losing to failure to scout on retakes and actually take, like when you initially get the space, to take the angles and take the space afterwards. And Florida's winning through these rat angles and good fight planning. I mean, it's literally been the same thing. I mean, how many times has Florida had somebody hiding in a flank? 7, 8 times now? 9?
Set up to receive that here, but they're going to go straight. Oh, what a bio nade. They're going to go in.
And by the way, this is like actually ridiculous. Look at this fight, guys. They get this massive bio nade, this massive flank, and Florida's like, let's go. They just go.
What a harebrained play
They just go.
from the Mayhem.
They just zero respect. Just none. No, we're okay.
Yes, it's Merit fighting Violet right at the beginning, and Pelican
And Violet dies. Violet has lamp.
tasty morsel.
Violet dies.
Snack upon.
It's a phenomenal shot by Merit. Let's just be very clear on that. But also, like, the hubris
And eventually,
is unbelievable. They just did not care.
I mean, look, they all pretty much get hit with a biotic grenade, but I think
How are they scouting anybody hiding Sigma spam? Also, when you're walking up, you can see the enemy team. You're like, somebody's missing. So you'd send your Echo or your Sigma ahead.
they know that if you just stand in like no man's land with that Reinhardt,
Chad one over Chatty.
you may as well.
Nah. Not on Ryan. Not on Ryan.
it's going to be okay.
Yeah,
Even Albert admitted that.
push through and get past and make a play. You're able to take out Violet right off the rip. This is really interesting from the Outlaws. So I believe we actually saw the Dallas Fuel even play something like this with the Genji and the.
Now this is where they go Lucio because I just think they're tired of getting rotated on. The irony here is that if you were ever to run a BAP Ana variant, it would be on second point defense when you actually have the space. So it's actually kind of like, this is like the worst time for the swap now. It's like when you actually have the space. It's like, it doesn't make up. So I guess if you were to, I guess you could speed forward and take an early spawn camp, but yeah, I don't know. It's odd. I like the Genji swap okay though.
Pelican there, getting up close and
Albert felt bad for midfire.
getting a little bit too close to lethal range there. Not only the composition, but also just how close the Outlaws are playing. They know they need to get value out of this Sigma durability.
Well, the thing is now they have the Lucio, right? So you have the ability to
So yeah, they're definitely using the Lucio to spawn camp,
close the gap.
which is fine.
Doesn't allow
Sprinkles looking for the sub.
just kind of standing there like pretty stationary targets, allowing them to just get ran down. You don't have that now.
They don't expect
Bap window, Pelican isolated.
goes for the deep
Oh, I remember this. Pelican gets isolated and killed. Yeah.
charge up a proper rail here, but he's angry.
Like, this is just the team play aspect, right? Like, where it's like, Pelican is kind of by himself, and nobody bothered. Like, Pelican is still by himself. Where's Pelican?
In there as well. He's calling for a regroup, but the Outlaws are waiting.
Wait, no, Pelican is not by himself. What am I? I'm misremembering.
Christian comes in, knocked off.
Some fun rotates here, by the way.
Has just the keyhole to fire through and get through the immortality.
Aw.
Of course, Mirror with the overclock now has just the keyhole to fire through.
Beat is used. Tap it. This really isn't the end of the world for Houston. I just think it's a little bit unfortunate. Like, they didn't quite have their beat yet, and Florida just out rotates them.
You will see Bernard fall at the end as comp swaps from the Outlaws. That's a gravitic flux and everybody on the Mayhem up as you're going to get close to capping this second point.
By the way, notice that when they go to the Orisa, look at the comp swaps, right? Look at when they go to the Orisa. Echo to Genji, Ana the Lucio. You know?
Point with
I totally disagree. I think Spitfire would have easily won that matchup. And that was the general agreement from all the pro players that I spoke with, from both London and Atlanta and other. I talked with Hawk. I'm going to talk with Hawk about it. Toronto. Spark had zero practice versus the dive. London had an ungodly amount of practice versus the dive. London was praying for Spark to lose versus Boston because I think Spark would have gotten 3-0'd, depending on the map choice. Could Houston use Sim to out-rotate Florida and keep the range advantage? That is a really wild question, but your logic holds. I just don't know how effective it would be. The idea is there, though. Like, you could run, like, Sigma, Sim. I mean, you could even use your Symmetra to take another off angle, right? To put out spam pressure. Sigma, Sim, Echo. You could run, like, Sigma, Sim, Echo, Bastion, or a Sim, Bastion, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah. It would be a theory to try, yeah. I just don't know if it's necessary when they're running the Sojourn, but yeah.
over 3 minutes.
I think it's a shame that we didn't get to see Spark in London. That would have been a lot of fun to watch, I think.
But making a switch over to the Orisa. This does mean that the Outlaws are
Yeah, Risa Lucio now.
to an Earth Shatter, and that's just what someone's cooking. Forced off the stairwell though,
Oh, the blades hurt so bad, guys. Tomathan, thanks for the sub. I mean, there's just no way to put this nicely. Houston fumbled the bag with every single Dragon Blade that I can remember. And it's really not even fair to blame Pelican for sure, because it's just, like, you see the problem right here. I'll even check the mail to go make sure that we're actually, like, not, like, talking out of, like, our butts here. But it's really, really simple to see the problem here, right? They push Rhine. Pelican does not push Rhine. And by the time Pelican even whips out the blade, they've already kind of used all their push CDs. Let me see what Pelican sees here. Yeah, so that he pushes on Sojourn, but he's literally, and Sojourn slides out. RuPaul lamps a little early, but they're all too far away. And someone's able to fully disengage out through underneath, and it's a total waste of a ultimate. Is Blade a mid-fight ultimate 99% of the time? I mean, sure, but you could have pushed with it if they were on the same page and the same target. I think Genji's good versus Flora's comp. I think you could take any angle you want, spam from any off angle, the same kind of thing that Echo is doing, but I think Genji has a lot more flexibility with how he can position. He does less damage, but he can position in a lot more aggressive positions than Echo because his mobility is a lot more consistent. You can also argue that when executed properly, his ultimate's actually slightly better. But there's no follow-up. Houston goes in two different directions, and Florida just peels it out easily. And this is a consistent issue, if I remember correctly, with Houston, is that they're unable to actually execute as a team off of Blade. It's just terrible. There's no excuse for that when you're running Lucio and Orisa. Your Genji should have support. I mean, look at Boston. Boston, 45% of why Boston was able to beat London consistently was because the Genji Blade dives, so the Orisa, the amp speed, even with a combo, were really good. They were really good at it. Houston doesn't have that. Houston wasn't doing it. Like, you could blame a lot of practice on that, but, like, you know. By the way, this is the Genji value right here. Check this out. They walk out of spawn. They're already taking shurikens to the head. They're taking shurikens to the head. Lucio turns around. Mei turns around. Ryan's getting shot in the back of the head. They can't even push the Genji because he gets healed, deflected, and just dashes out. And that's something that even an Echo wouldn't be able to do as successfully. This is actually a really nice push from Houston, all things considered. Especially into the BAP window. The BAP window completely flops. Because the rotation is completely shut down by Bernard and Pelican. Happy uses the ultimate. It's okay-ish. I don't know that they're going to actually be able to get any value off of it, though. Yeah, they're not going to be able to. So Houston needs to retake the high ground and do it again. Genji can stall cart. You could... There's the lamp. You guys could... They could beat engage this right here. A better team beat engages this. Care Blizzard, obviously, but they could beat engages.
Blizzard is still such a problem, but the Mayhem can't pin them down. I think they're trying to
Oh, I remember this. Team play diff, get ready for it. Get ready for it. You just don't need to use it right now. There just isn't any rush. If they commit to the high ground, commit to the high ground. You have to remember as well that Houston has the Orisa. They have the Lucio as well. They don't need to be scared of getting pushed by a Lucio comp. They have essentially a different variation of a Brawl comp. There's no rush here. You need to at least force a split. They don't even force a split that they can push. This is two ultimates now that have been terribly executed from Florida that feel, or from Houston, that have felt completely unearned. And now you're going into really just an ult disadvantage again. Like, Bernard is really doing a good job using his CDs. It just doesn't matter. Beat is there. Beat is there. Great CDs from Houston. Genji's on the stall. BAP window is used, which is concerning. And, like, this is the moment where it actually has to happen, right? Like, Bernard has ult. There's Sojourn ult. But do you see the problem? What you see on your screen is exactly what is wrong with the Houston Outlaws. What do you guys see? You guys, if you guys watch the match, you should know what's about to happen, right? Yep. Blade gets his head blown off. Check it. Right? So what are you waiting for? You guys, have you guys watched it? If you guys watched one Boston Uprising match versus any, you know what Smurf does. Javelin spin, bam, and everybody's pulled into the Blade. It's really hard to look at the Genji, and they'll even throw Lamp in there just to make sure that the Genji gets his Blade off. But guess what happens? Pelican goes first. All the attention's on Pelican with an active Sojourn ult. Then Bernard comes in afterwards while Shu's rotating. They just... give me a second. I'm going to check the mail here. Like, the situation could not be more perfect. Like, oh my gosh, guys, Bernard Javelin the mailed. They didn't even catch it. Did I miss that? He canceled the mailed. Listen. Oh, Bernard is 1 second away from Javelin spin. Literally one, and he has Fortify afterwards. Bro. Oh my gosh, guys. Back-breaking. That's it. Like that is fight. That's it. That, like, Florida is done if they get that off. They're done. It's done. It's over. Houston wins the match. Or the map. Or maybe not wins the map, but they win this fight for sure. For sure.
That's another checkpoint for the Mayhem. A hair's breadth from victory.
I don't really think Houston got tested a whole lot, to be honest with you guys. I think even versus like matches like Dallas, I think Houston looks sloppy.
On the Sojourn, especially during those over and play that. Okay,
Switched a heck of a lot in their semi as well. Maywall doesn't catch anyone, but gives the Mayhem some time to shrug off attack configuration. Happy does have that artillery barrage available.
But I don't remember their first match, to be fair. BAP window, that gets disengaged. They do force a nice split, though, so they should be able to win off of this. And to be honest with you guys, I don't know what happens here. Because I'm going to have to check the mail on this one. Because I felt like Houston should have won this one. I remember watching this in real time and being shocked that Houston... Because the BAP window isn't actually that bad. The BAP window is, like, pretty good. So what happens here? The BAP window, Checkmate has to use Ice Block. What's the status of Bernard had to use Fortify. Why did Bernard have to Fortify? So someone is on Sigma, and the Rock forces Fortify a little early. So Bernard misses the Javelin, and then has to use his Javelin to go in. Pelican... Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say here. They just, I don't think that they had the CDs. They didn't have Deflect. They didn't have Dash. They didn't have Javelin Spin or Fortify. And so they kind of forced the push. And there's not a whole lot to add here. It's just, it was a good try. They just didn't have the CDs for it. Oh, man. That's brutal, man. Like, that's brutal. Like, you got to look at this and be like, there's no way that's, I don't know. Houston team play diff, really. Like Florida, so much better timing on their pushes. So much better timing with Florida's pushes than Houston. Houston mistiming their pushes around their CDs. Even that last fight there, they just didn't have the CDs to push for it. Mismanaging map control. Florida's lurking rat strategies working way too frequently. Yeah. But Florida deserved it, you know?
Recapture some of that same magic, right?
Yeah, I think it's just the nature of like finals. Finals get messy. I mean, you guys remember last season, right? I think a little bit of it's like recency bias because remember Edison's E? Remember Edison's E's? How many Edison's E's did he like stick into the floor or goof up, you know? So like, I think it's just the nature of like that big of a stage. I think mistakes, happen, So I honestly, I don't think I can really remember enough to give you my objective opinion. To be honest with you. But yeah, I do feel that this series definitely rang hollow objectively. Just based off of the 4-0, Now, this is cute. I want you guys to kind of use this as your tank rock, paper, scissors counter. Bernard rolls out on Orisa because they're expecting Reinhardt would be my guess. Or at least they fear Reinhardt. Florida says, well, we know that you're going to roll out on Orisa, or we're confident that even if you roll out in Sigma, we can compete with you. So we're going to roll out on Sigma because we think Sigma does a little bit better than Orisa. I do think Sigma does okay versus Orisa. At least when there isn't like a good backline to spam versus. It's not that simple, right? Like if you were to play like Sigma and King of the Hill into Orisa, you'd probably feel pretty bad. And I do think Orisa's got a little bit of mobility here, right? And you're going to see that right now. Houston rolls out on the wrong comp and they do pretty well, right? They're playing Orisa Bastion into Sigma. But they just outplay them. Tank, rock, paper, scissors, busted. For now. Look at that. Zoning backline. Really nice management of cooldowns. Hitting a lot of really good harpoons, javelins, whatever. Sigma's isolated. They can't push the Orisa because she's playing cover. Great CD cycling just to hold space. And tank, rock, paper, scissors, right?
Feels like you can live forever if you manage your cooldowns correctly, and that's exactly what Bernard did. He did a nice job displacing players on the way in. Someone just like playing in a corner on the point, just like trying to like 1v1 somebody. That's not what you want to see if you're the Mayhem.
Yeah, they threw up like a May wall laterally and tried to run in past it, but then they split someone away from the rest of the DPS.
Well,
It's a priest. It's just off tank. It's off tank. Off tank is even in Overwatch tank like not as strong. I mean, Hawk is. I think Hawk is probably the best Western tank. Almost certainly the best Western tank. Like I don't even think. I think it's pretty confidently say that he's the best Western tank. But yet Hawk was bench boy because Winston, right? I think Hawk is a solid, very good Ramacha. He's probably one of the best, if not the best Western Doomfist. Phenomenal Zarya, phenomenal Diva, phenomenal Sigma. I think he even has a serviceable Reinhardt as well. Zoning the backline just makes like pressuring the backline so they can't peek, so they can't like walk forward. But Hawk is an off-tank player, and Hawk was playing a Korean team. Bernard is a phenomenal tank from what we've seen. Good on Orisa, good on Sig, Diva, all these things, but off-tank. It's just more of like the off-tank bias, sadly. I talked with Hawk about that, by the way. I was talking with Hawk about it. I was like, bro, it's just such a shame, like obviously. And he's like, bro, I just don't play Winston. Like, stupid Winston, man. Like, screw me for not being able to play like Winston to top tier. Oh, Hawk can also play Queen really well too. Hawk was not happy with Winston. So the funny thing about Atlanta too is I'm pretty sure that they played Hawk on Oasis at some point, and they played him on Ram on everything except City Center, and then they could have run JQ, but they put him on Winston for some reason. But yeah, Bernard was on Spark, I believe, yes, and his Sigma was like amazing last season. Top 2 Sigma, I think, last season.
all that damage from Happy coming through the choke, right?
The funny thing about Donghack is he wasn't even a good Winston at the start. He developed into it. The reason why I like Donghack for Rookie of the Year, ignoring all the internal stuff, is I really feel like Donghack went from being like a guy that didn't even play Winston to an actually top 3 or top 4 Winston. And that's so hard for that character.
Takes significant. Oh my!
Ah.
The shield already thrown up by someone. It takes significant.
Pelican just disrespectful there. That one really hurts.
Metamorphic? He won't know. He's
I mean, you just can't lose fights to that, you know? Like, there's your entire... That's it. There's your entire push. Because Pelican just disrespected someone's Sigma.
someone down to the
That's it.
But he found happy with the hyperspheres in Bernard. He's swung on the way out too.
I mean, the Ant Matrix, right? You're not doing.
Did Diva was just more of a Diva literally, I would say 60-70% of why Diva wasn't played in Sombra Tracer Dive was Bomb. The other 20-30% was probably like your actual ability to like dive and threaten backline. Is Winston's just a little bit better at that. And then maybe like 5% is that like hack Diva is a lot of damage for Sombra. But even then, like you can play around it, you know?
Into a terrible
Bomb bad, primal good. I mean, it's that simple, right?
point where you
It's really just that simple.
all the way back to, you know,
You can't even remech consistently with Diva. That's the thing. It's like remeching with your bomb, you just die.
sight.
Versus Sombra Tracer. Diva bomb is horrible.
You through that Ant Matrix, or they have to all push into you. The option of moving forward, maybe with the spear spin, you're able to live, get everybody topped up. Did not happen, and the Mayhem get a flip.
Lost Pelican awfully early in the fight. A gravitic flux is on the cards here. There's a blizzard as well. The Mayhem have so much to work with right now. It's about deploying them.
Like, this is the kind of thing from Bernard that you love to see, right? He gets walled. He javelin spins in to close the distance.
The Mayhem have so
He doesn't immediately fortify, though, right? He waits. Then uses it.
deflect the immortality field for Happy and Chewie.
There's the beat. They try to combo Orisa plus Bastion, but Shorong hits the beat of his life. Look at this. Oh my gosh, that is like actually so dangerous. They use Sojourn Ult as well, but Pelican gets in. Bernard sadly has no more CDs.
Might be in order now as well.
I'm kind of curious why they didn't pop Blade there. Yeah, the Blade is way too late. Blade had to be way earlier.
Sound barrier for the Florida Mayhem. Lets them shrug it off, but Happy and Chewie goes straight into the cannon barrage. Sound barrier for the Florida Mayhem. Lets them. Right now it's about deploying them adequately.
There's the fortify from Bernard.
Deflect the immortality field for Happy and Chewie.
I think he could have maybe greeted the ultimate later, Bernard.
Shrug it off, but Barrett can't.
But obviously they were trying for the Bastion ult combo, and the timing with Houston isn't quite there. Again, it's a team play thing. A better team there, probably Ajax's Chorong.
Down. A Pelican blade might be in order now.
And then obviously like waiting way too long to Blade, and then just, yeah, this is just like, yeah. It's just too late to Blade. It's just too late to Blade at that point. You know, it's like the pressure's totally off, and so like you're gonna get you're no way that Blade ever works.
Story of the series.
I'm not sure.
Is very dangerous.
Why does Bernard go down? Because he fortified and then used his ultimate to combo with Bastion ult. But then the enemy team presses beat, and because Shu is zoned out of the fight, he's not able to actually pocket Bernard. And he javelin spins to try and get out, but then he gets booped back in.
During wheels mode.
So like Shu could have helped him more. The ultimate combo from Happy could have been done a little bit better. And honestly, Pelican could have helped him more with like comboing earlier. But yeah, I think Bernard was probably dead either way.
Part of when they can go. So this is
It's really interesting to me that Houston's staying on the Orisa. And this to me is exactly what I was talking about with like the tank rock, paper, scissors, where like it feels like Houston wants to play Orisa on this map just because of the push pull with the Lucio, right? They don't want to play the Sigma. Now these guys might like it. They might have more practice, but Bernard doesn't want to. Bernard wants to play the Orisa. So it's like now it's like the map is kind of dictating what Houston's playing, not the tank composition. So this is the thing is like everyone's like, oh, you know, you're wrong with the tank rock, paper, scissors, but they just decide to ignore conveniently the fact that Bernard stayed on Orisa and did really well on Orisa on this map into the Sigma.
a little bit maybe harder to judge.
RuPaul here forced away. Immortality field has to be.
I mean, there's your Orisa value right there.
So this is a little bit maybe harder to judge.
Look at that. Javelin spin. He javelin spin. Who does he javelin spin out? He pushes out somebody here.
A little bit maybe
I think it's May. Yeah, he pushes out May. Bounces out May. Lampus had to use it immediately, and he just freaking dies. Look at that.
With the javelin. Pelican goes down. Now Checkmate buys some time with the ice block, but they all look at the May. As soon as she emerges from cryostasis, it's to a hellscape. Shu has gone down in the meantime. Chorong bounds back into his own backline. Someone, nice use of the kinetic grasp here, but Mero is looking to find his way through, and Banar runs him down. Still a trade. There it is. Someone shish kebabbed. And it's just Chorong to deal with here. Tough customer. Banar getting pressure
Right?
from the other direction. He can't
Someone literally stopped with Reinhardt. Yeah. I mean, it depends on the situation. Like, Reinhardt ultimate is pretty bad versus Orisa. Hottie was using it a lot of the times to try to RNG hit the Bastion. Hottie was also using Reinhardt ultimate a lot to just try and force Fortify so they could push after the Fortify is done and actually kill the Orisa. So a lot of people were like, oh, he's shattering an Orisa Fortify. Well, he forced the Fortify with the ultimate, and it's very inconsistent to get value out of it, to be honest. I don't think so. Mio, thank you. What I would guess is what happens a lot of times with sensitivity is because sensitivity is like so subjective. If you're like, let's say an aspiring Korean pro and you're like a plat diamond player and you're like, I wonder what sensitivity I should use. Let me look up what my favorite pro player uses. And then that snowballs. You get what I'm saying? That's why a lot of flex supports have lower sensitivities because Rouge Hong and Jonak use that sensitivity. But they just use that sensitivity just because it felt better for them. And I mean, that's why I run lower sense. I literally run lower sense for no other reason than the fact that Jonak ran lower sense. Because when I was a gold Zenyatta main, I thought that was going to be the key for me to being better. And so that's what I did. And so that's just what stuck with. I think it's it continues, you know? Can Javelin spin block Shatter? No, but you could boop up the Shatter animation briefly. So a lot of the current top hit scans just play a medium range sense that just has been popular for a really long time.
Get there in time, but and that is a long dragged out battle just to get control off the rip, right? So
Also keep in mind, by the way, with the Dong hack controversy, you're only hearing it from Chio. You're not hearing it from the coaches. You're not hearing it from the other players, nor are you hearing it from Dong hack side of things. So I'm not saying that what Chio is saying is wrong. I'm just saying it's only from one side.
the Outlaws, you have this sound barrier to deal with this gravitic flux. There's no like big wombo combo on the other side. You feel pretty good about that.
I don't know how Outlaws win this fight. I think you have to kind of like, you'd have to put. Okay, I know what Boston would do. Chat, what would Boston do this fight? If Boston was Houston, what would Boston do? You guys saw them play versus London, right? What would Boston do? Ajax. Right? Orisa spin N. Maybe beat N. Javelin. They all Genji dash. You have Sojourn E. You have a lot of tool skill showrun. Just go N. Go N. Maybe even beat engage, right? Ajax. Ajax, Ajax, Ajax. There's the javelin spin, but you see what they're trying to do, right? Do you see the difference between Houston and Boston? Do you see the difference between Houston and Boston right here? Like, something's wrong. Right? There's two people from Houston on the screen. Not 3, not 4, not 5, but 2. And that's it. It's late. Like, RuPaul was low. Look at RuPaul. Look at RuPaul. RuPaul should have died 6 years ago. That being said, this is disgusting, ladies and gentlemen. This is disgusting. Come on. Rock, paper, scissors.
Now someone gets staggered out. Man, that is a crazy play.
That is just insane.
That's the thing with the Orisa, right? You even get like a little bit of the Lucio speed in the mix. You get right past that Sigma shield that you don't even have to try.
We've been talking about it. Circumvent.
Now, the only thing I can say is that maybe Houston did not want to push into the flux, but I think that like if you hit Pelican, I think if you hit anybody with that flux besides the Orisa, I think people die.
Disrespect the Sigma. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Immediate lamp here.
Disrespect the Sigma.
Bap window. They go with an early fight.
Early Kashu has that Ant Matrix. Dangerous game being played by the Mayhem.
Fortify just walks out.
Gonna be mostly shrugged off except for Violet, but the body blocking from Banana's been good. It's an Ant Matrix in the way, and here's the Terror Surge
I don't know why Violet died here. Violet, this is a bit of a feed from Violet.
being played by the Mayhem here.
Violet should not have gotten frozen there. He should have trusted his Orisa. That forces Lamp out defensively.
In the way, and here's the Terror
Does that end up costing them? Yes, Shu dies. Shu should not have died.
finds two, and now we're seeing
They flip.
But I don't think it matters. Okay, yeah.
Fine.
So a little bit sloppy there, but okay.
Surge also gives you like a little bit of a damage reduction with another fortify, so like you can start cycling those together. Becomes really difficult to get.
Does that mean that they use Sojourn here?
gonna be mostly shrugged off except for Violet, but the body blocking from Banana's been good. It's an Ant Matrix in the way.
I think it's okay.
This is you have fortify. The Terror Surge also gives you like.
How much does that pay trade discount? Should be like $5.
So, like you can start cycling those together. Becomes really difficult to get rid of some of these players.
Dragon Blade with no sound barrier for the Mayhem. So Pelican, if he's judicious with his timing here, can really cripple the Mayhem and start on the right foot again. Florida.
Now you know what's about to happen right now. You know what's about to happen. And you know how important it is that this is supported properly. All right?
Have the strong positioning they're going to be pushed into here. Oh, what a rude wall. Pelican, he will climb over.
Phenomenal wall.
Okay, here's a gravitic flux from someone. Do you act now? Who's going to be caught in there? Oh, jackpot! Who's it? Pelican, they're going to be pushed in for the Mayhem and start on the right foot again. Florida have the strong positioning. They're going to be pushed into here. Oh, what a rude wall. Pelican, you will climb over. Okay, here's a gravitic flux from someone. Do you act now? Who's going to be caught in there? Oh!
No fortify, no nothing. No amp. It's just a goof up. It's a goof up.
Who's not going to be caught?
Maybe it's something that they should not have even forced, right? You either need, but that's just the team play difference right there.
Monster gravitic flux from someone.
Mm.
So, you kind of saw where he was going around gravitic flux.
I think Happy goes Bastion just because
Fight, right?
surely this will work.
Maybe it's not a heavy investment. You still feel alright.
Again, dealing with support ultimate means there's no guarantee that this works.
Oh man.
Dealing with support ultimates here means there's no guarantee that
Mm.
this works.
Again, it's just like look at the rotation.
Dealing with support ultimates here means there's no guarantee.
How do you guys solve this? How do you guys solve this? What's the problem with this? I can spot at least two problems with what
This works. Great.
Houston did. At least two problems. What do you guys see? This is again team play. It's not necessarily a timing issue, but it's just a team play issue. Partly timely. Too early in Genji? No, I think Genji is very important because Genji's the guy that can leverage point and force Florida to take a fight. So like here's the thing. If Houston waits right here, what do Florida do? They have to have somebody to touch point. Well, okay, if they send somebody to touch point, now they don't have to worry about the May wall, or they don't have to worry about the BAP window, or they don't have to worry. Somebody has to touch point, right? So you use your Genji to touch point, and then you look to do your rotation afterwards, right? Right. All right. So that's the problem number one, is that they were too impatient of the rotation. Now, there's another problem that piggybacks directly off of that, where look at the formation of this rotation. Right. Why the frick is my Bastion in front and my Orisa behind? When my Orisa's when we need the javelin spin for the front line. The priest, no, not consistently, no. This is a long distance for Florida to traverse, and for them to force the 4v5, Pelican would be able to walk directly on top of them with Blade. Terrible formation, terrible timing, terrible impatience. So no matter what way you paint it, Florida's just better.
This works. Great.
Like you could look like this blade opportunity right here is huge, but yeah, just terrible.
What a wall. They can't get to the
They're gonna actually match. Oh no.
Be the start of the fight. It'll still be a sound barrier for Violet for 4.
They literally just commit 2 ultimates to rotate and then they die anyway. This is just terrible. I forgot how painful this is. Thank you, Slugger.
This flashpoint to stay in it.
Does Florida's comp even like walking to Houston comps without a CD advantage? Yeah, no, they don't. Not really. Like you need Bastion form or at least like Fortify to be melted down. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
In a moment.
Surely, guys. Surely. Oh no.
Terror surge up.
Oh no.
Quickly making their
Again, Pelican is just a little too far forward, and Bernard doesn't fortify in time and gets rocked out of his javelin spin.
need to fight.
Total isolation.
Pelican is looking. Has to back away.
Violet also goes speeding in, goes too far, and just freaking dies.
Back away. The blizzard here gives him pause for thought, but Violet wasn't quick enough. Now they're operating with only 4 players. Still, the terror surge coming in from Benar, and checkmate is taken down.
That's actually crazy.
Mirror with an overclock, but he's holding on to it as Pelican dives in for another fight.
Now, I want to watch this fight. I remember this fight, and I do not know how Houston won this. Is Blade worth to get out of Blizzard? Yes, if you get a lot of space out of it, but they didn't. Violet goes all the way in like they're committing, but Houston doesn't really commit. Bernard messes up his push, then Violet over pushes, and Pelican doesn't commit. You see that? There's like a total disconnect here. Like you need to go into that saying, guys, they have Blizzard, but like we're inting. I'm inting. Like Genji, if whatever, but Iris is committing in, or we're gonna Blade, push, force the ultimates and takes the space. That would also work, okay? But they don't do either. If they had done the second, then Violet would have lived.
Now we're even.
So checkmate gets smoked.
Pelican dives in.
There's the flux. Pelican just freaking dies.
The gravitic flux. Pelican's caught in it.
There's the Sojourn ult.
Safe enough, but Benar is starting to bear.
The shift on the Orisa. There's only 3 people here. Rail from Happy gets merit low, and someone dies?
Down upon him. Merritt's safe enough, but Benar is starting to bear down upon him.
Okay, chat. I'm going to have to check the mail on this one. I don't know how someone dies here. I don't know how someone dies because it looks like he gets no HP out of his shift. Which, did it get canceled? Did like somehow the Orisa get behind him and javelin him to cancel it? Yeah, also I want to check Immortality as well. No, Immortality was used. So RuPaul maybe a bit of a misplay here. No, I think it was okay. So let's see what happens here. Bit of a wasted rock by someone, not a good rock used. Yeah, so someone rocks before he shields. Someone rocks before he shields. And let's check RuPaul POV here. RuPaul is late with a lamp. I don't even know if he has lamp yet. Let's actually check. No, he doesn't have lamp yet. Yeah, so someone kind of someone needed to play his life a little bit more there. RuPaul also missed a couple of heal shots and he literally had lamp. He would have gotten lamp off. Like I think this is a bit of a fumble from Florida. Yeah. Mayo, it's a really complicated. It's a good question. Put it in Ask Spilo. We'll maybe look at it this weekend. I'm sorry. I think that's a little bit too deep of a rabbit hole for right now. But yeah,
With that fortified mirror, it has to back away. Comes around from across the
ridiculous play from Bernard though.
Lords are coming back. A nightmare start to the
Ridiculous play.
That point, you know, the shield's been the fort
Although I will say I do not agree with Awkward's philosophy on Tracer.
himself a little.
Let's put it that way. I think a lot of people would benefit from learning from Awkward, but his is not the optimal way to play Tracer.
Still able to get the point.
Happy
Oh man,
ball
another one of those ultimates.
by the Mayhem here. It's just a
Another one of those ultimates. Literally nothing, just
for Houston,
nothing.
but nothing more. Here comes
Another huge rock.
a bit. He heads into the back line. What is this?
Now, I remember somebody I was sitting with is like, what was Happy doing here, right?
Down the air matrix, some extra percent for Houston, but nothing
What do you got? This is the problem. Pelican on an angle gets rocked. There's Lamp right there from Shu. Happy is expecting his team to go in with him. But Happy's team is not going in with him because they're too busy keeping their Genji alive who got rocked. Happy should have gotten Lamp, Genji dash dive, plus Orisa follow-up. Instead, what happens is the Orisa pauses in her push to peel off her Genji instead of pushing through. The Genji's not there at all, and there's no Lamp. They were going for an Ajax here, or just to punish a backline. This is actually a pretty good play, but it's a good rock by someone, and another Pelican gets punished moment. And that completely murders. This is Happy looks like such an ass here, but it's literally not Happy's fault at all. It's literally not Happy's fault at all. He should have gotten Lamp, Orisa, and Genji support, and Lucio support. Literally the entirety of Houston is focusing on keeping Pelican alive instead of pushing with Happy. And they would have won this fight. This was actually a really nice fight plan from them.
He's unhinged, and now he's unlifed.
Well, that was quite aggressive from the Outlaws. I actually think that they probably thought they were going to live long enough for Violet to get beat, be the next, like the second team to beat, and
No. I don't think Violet said anything. I just think they said push in Ajax. And Pelican just gets his face smoked.
he does not get sound barrier, and it does not go that way at all.
I mean, the fight plan was to push. And they pushed. And Houston was not ready. Houston, it's not so much that they're playing slow. They're just goofing up, right? Pelican goes in too hard or doesn't go in hard enough. Violet sometimes ints. They'll hit a mechanical rock. They'll hit a rock on Bernaro when he should have been fortified. Pelican doesn't respect rock and gets rock, so that kills the push. There's just a lot of these pushes are getting killed by just mechanical or positioning errors.
Expended both of their support ultimates here. If you're quick about it. Oh, that's
Bam.
a big pick.
It's really not that deep. They're just better mechanics, better cooldown usage, better timing.
Severely compromised.
Who is the best pro Orisa? Probably a Smurf.
Got player down. Pelican wants to get started pretty quickly, but he takes a ton of damage on the approach. The Outlaws
Nice flip.
here. How do they transition into a fight?
There's some players up on the high ground for the Florida Mayhem. They're starting to wrap back out through this choke here. Now it looks like they're all getting sped up towards the high ground. The Outlaws on the chase.
Terror surge up here. I think Banal wants to try and herd them into the small room, but they will disperse upon the point.
I mean, you could even see it here. You could even see it here. Orisa, Houston's like, hey, let's push. But what's the problem with this, guys? First off, Bernard gets booped backwards. And also, where's my pincer? You could pincer in here with a beat engage or Orisa ult engage with a Genji flank, and it's just not there. So Orisa, they chase, and Florida just rotates away. It's a better rotation, better team. There's the Sojourn ult, there's the beat in response, but look at how far Orisa, the Outlaws are from actually pushing with this beat. Yeah, they use both. Yeah, Orisa uses both cooldowns.
On the point, Happy a little bit low, but it's the sound barrier now. Merit has to go to work on this overshield. Happy takes 2 rails in midair. Barrett's looking for more sound barrier now. Merit has to go to work on this room, but they will disperse upon the point. Happy a little bit low, but it's the sound barrier.
And why does Chorong looks like he mispositions a little bit there?
Happy takes 2 rails in midair. Barrett's looking for more, but it's too late.
Oz Goblin, thanks for the sub. I appreciate it. Oh my gosh. So this fight goes so much more stressful for Houston than had any right to be. Usually one person calls to rotate if they see the opportunity, probably someone.
It'll be a great flashpoint spawn for them. They'll get a little bit of a closer spawn here as the Florida Mayhem, they actually have Merit move away from the Bastion now. Onto the Bastion, away from the Sojourn, which he's been so good on throughout the series.
This might be the most important objective of the series. Houston Outlaws need to finish the job here and give themselves some breathing room. Is a Gravitic Flux available for someone? The Bastion switch for Merit. Pelican wants to trade here on that left-hand side. It's going to be an Ant Matrix. Plenty of time for the Florida Mayhem to back away. The Outlaws will establish.
It's not a terrible ult because it does allow them to, I guess, cap point. But this is just yet another ultimate that gets kited, right? Like it's not bad per se, but it's just like another one of those ultimates, you know, another one of those ultimates. So, you know, they get point flip, so I think it's okay. We've had worse, but
I think the Outlaws have to know that this fight is so important, not just in this map, just the overall grand scheme of things in the finals.
Shu needs to dodge that. Yeah, Shu needs to dodge that. Oh, it's like the worst timing in the world. Like, look at the timing of this push. Houston is calling to push here, but again, the timing is just a little bit off. Someone's fluxing. They're pushing in. Violet should not have been caught in this flux. I mean, look at it. This is just too many people. It's a perfectly timed flux. It's a poorly positioned backline. And that's a 3-man flux. I mean, who's the fault there? Is it Violet's positioning? Could Shu have dodged it? Should they have pushed earlier? Yes, 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 yes. I don't know. I don't know what the communication is like at this point in time, but you could look at this. We don't need to be a genius to say, that ugly. That ugly. I don't know whose fault, but that's ugly. All right, guys, hold on to your butts. This is going to be really ugly. Now, this blade has one purpose. One purpose. That is to force this. If you force this, we will then press this, and you will win the point. It's that simple. But for that to work, you actually need to have a properly set up engage. Unfortunately, okay, chat, we have to do a little bit of mail checking. Because he looks like he's trying to blade the Sigma to force beat, but somehow just is unable to blade Sigma, which is like unbelievably silly. I would rather blade to force overclock, personally, if you can. Overclock would probably be easier, but it depends on the circumstance. I want to see why Pelican couldn't blade a Sigma. It's just timing. It's just timing. So upon further review of checking the mail, Pelican is legitimately by himself. Completely by himself. Like, it's not that, oh, he's going to blade Sigma, you know, it's fine. His Orisa is like 15 meters behind him. So he takes an unbelievable amount of damage during the unsheathing animation, has to deflect and then back up. Bro, Pelican gets lamp. How did I miss that? So you don't see it here. Pelican is, I mean, you can kind of see it. Pelican is way, way in front of his team. Then takes a lot of damage because he's by himself. Gets lamped. And, I mean, honestly, RuPaul didn't even need to lamp this. I mean, I think this is just more of a just in case kind of a thing, you know? That's terrible. Terrible. And now you're going to Sojourn ult to try and force beat, but you have nothing to finish it with. I mean, you do have your own beat, but you should not be in that sort of situation. So Happy will press Q. There's the beat, perfectly timed. They push in. Will Houston survive? Yes, but Happy doesn't get beat. So Happy is 1 HP. So this should have been significantly easier. Merritt just dies. Okay, time to check the mail. Oh, Pelican kind of feeds. Okay, so Pelican gets out barely. I want to see what Shu's CD's usage is like. He lamps the Bastional. He gets way too close to the May ult. They forget ult track here. The shift is really bad from him. And then he ends up kind of standing out in the open. Violet. And then just the mother of all bashing grenades. Yeah. I mean, Outlaws just fumble it ult-wise. They just really, really, really fumble it ult-wise. They fumble it ult-wise. A lot of mechanical executional errors. Shorong takes way too long to die in the back line. Happy doesn't get beat. It's rough. Okay. So Houston has moments there, but just seriously behind the 8 ball in terms of timing, in terms of team play, in terms of plan execution. Yeah.
Houston Outlaws have to find victory here. If you hack this Bastion and he does not die, I mean, it's also
now this is the panic. This is the. I mean, I think it's fine. I think this is the best dive, one of the better dive maps in the entire game. You know, what you've been doing hasn't been working in terms of plan communication wise. I think you could argue that, like, oh, you know, if we just execute a little bit better, I think we do pretty well. I could see either argument. I could see that, like, Houston's like, bro, we've been so close every single map. We just keep fumbling at the bag in a couple of fights. I could also see, like, it's just not working. Let's try something else. Let's see if we can make it work. Now, there's a reason why they're opening up Bastion here, is because they know this is coming, and Bastion is really good versus the other dive characters. What's interesting to me is the Sigma swap. Now, this is not a surprise to me after what we've seen Florida do earlier, but it is unusual. So why Sigma? My logic, the way I see things, does he stay Sigma? I can't remember. Is that what we've seen with someone when he plays into these dive compositions earlier in the play-ins or the playoffs, is that basically he's just, or maybe it wasn't even the playoffs, it was the season, the regular season, I don't remember when. Maybe the last regular. Is basically he just destroys, hey Barry, good to see you, mate. He just controls Onabrig. He basically does not allow Onabrig to play the game. He can't do anything versus Winston, Sombra, or Tracer, really, but he can make Onabrig really, 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 really difficult to get value out of. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is like the final cherry on top when it came to Violet trolling, because I think rolling out on break may be okay with neutral map control, maybe. But I think the fact that Violet does not play Kiriko is the biggest throw of the entire series. There is absolutely nothing Brigitte can do versus this composition besides pack your Tracer and pack your Ana. And the irony is that your Brig has to play so aggressively on angles or whatever to get value that she usually ends up leaving the Ana by herself anyway, which then gets her killed anyway. Even Lucio would be better. Yes. Even Lucio would be better. Yes. Not great, not a great Lucio map, but better than what we're running here. And I will tell you that after checking the mail on my own time, I can confirm that Violet Brig did jack all. Absolutely air. And died many times because he's playing Brig into Sigma Bastion. Not on this map. They can work on some maps, not on this map. Terrible, terrible, terrible choice. Terrible choice.
Going to be tough. You have immortality field in the mix.
Everybody's going to play the game for free versus the Brig.
If you commit that hard and you do not win that fight, you are screwed trying to get this Winston out of there.
We're about to find out, was the Winston the answer all along? The Bastion is...
The Winston has to play so careful around the Bastion cycles, and he relies so heavily on his Ana and his Tracer getting value. And see, this is the real crime. When you're playing Bastion or playing Winston into Bastion, you need your teammates to help you out. You need your Tracer, your Sombra, your Ana. Like, the thing is that Fearless is going to have to play so cautious that Violet would be able to do anything he wants on Kiriko. Anything. Nope. There's going to be so many resources put. There's no angle control. There's nothing from Florida here. Ana Kiriko should destroy Florida Mayhem comp, especially when old cycles start to roll around. I just, it's a terrible, terrible, terrible throw. I want you to imagine Kiriko DPSing from this angle here, or DPSing from this angle here, or DPSing from this angle here, or DPSing from this angle here, at the same time as we see this right here. Like, the Ana is allowed to play more aggressively because of the Brig, but a nade on the Sigma and the Brig. Watch this as well. I don't know if you guys will see this. Look at Violet. Immediately smoked out. Shield broken. Has to back away. Backline runs away. A Sigma, one Sigma just destroyed your entire backline value, and he was hacked. It's not the play. It's not the play. I don't know where Nade was there. I think he just missed. Oh, he hit show wrong. I missed it. Like, dude, Shu dies anyway. This is what I was talking about. Shu dives anyway. Violet has to try and find some sort of pressure. Violet walks forward, starts to swing on the choke. Well, guess what? That leaves Shu by himself. So then Shu gets dove afterwards while Violet's trying to control the front line. Do you see the irony of the Brigitte here? That she has to play so aggressively to get value that she ends up not being able to peel for her Ana anyway. Do you see this? You see this. Whereas Kiriko can hold an aggressive angle, then TP to her Ana if she does get dove and still get value. Agony. Absolute agony. This could have worked with Kiriko.
If you're an Outlaws fan, go in and commit. You got to commit your leap. They're going to just use like wheels mode on that Bastion. Guess what? You're weak going out. Here comes the Echo flying right in with that focusing beam to finish you off.
Spy check. Dive the Echo. Clear her out. Shield is forced. Early recall, but that's okay. I think that's turret form right there. There's the nano on the Winston. One shot root ball. Beautiful. I don't know if Showrong couldn't hit that there, or maybe there's a Sombra distraction on backline, but that's a pretty nice dive from Houston there. Can't really pursue. Oof, that's unfortunate. It's actually a pretty big pulse bomb there, even though the fight's kind of already won, because it sets up the continual snowball afterwards, right? They're able to continually stagger. You're going to get an extra 10, 15 meters off of that. Recalls the dodge rock. Yeah. Another recall one. I agree. Devices, that's almost 100% the answer. Yeah. It's because this is what we played. But the frustrating thing to me is that we've just recently seen them play on a Kiriko. This is a really important play from Houston. BAP window, EMPs. Look at Showong's HP. Beautiful. Beautiful. Primal is used, I think, just to make sure that they secure the kill, which honestly I'm totally fine with. Winning the rally fight, bro, you could throw the kitchen sink at the rally fight. You need to win the rally fight. So that's a huge play from Houston right there. Even though it's cost you 2 ultimates, it cost them 2 ultimates, and like I said, rally is the only ultimate that Mayhem has that's truly terrifying.
Not a lot of, I mean, if you can get like the supports here, right? Gravitic Flux, that'd be useful, but Violet's got that rally. The Outlaws take the lead, yup. It's a butt scratch. Nano for Fearless on the table again.
Now, if you're Mayhem here, you have to kind of do something corny here, because they're just going to farm up their next EMP, they're going to farm up their next pulse, they're going to farm up their next nano. And they have lead here, so there's nothing really forcing Houston to do anything, which is why you see plays like this, right? Nice little defensive push out there from Violet. So they're going to try and push Cart underneath. There's the nano. Sombra's there. There's the Flux used in response. If only we had Suzu. But that's okay, guys. That's okay. We don't need Suzu when we have Rally. Right, guys? Right, guys? Surely he'll swap now, no? Surely. Dude, that is an inexcusable fight to lose for Mayhem. Or for Outlaws. Like, you have that map control, and you pop Nano and Rally. You have to win that fight. You have to win that fight.
Fully white there if you're the Outlaws, right? You get a little bit of a reset because the bot, did not complete the checkpoint for the Florida Mayhem. Bastion. Even still, the Mayhem plane is awfully safe.
How was LAN? LAN was infinitely better because I didn't have to worry about running into your screeching, ugly voice or your absolutely nauseatingly ugly face. It was phenomenal. The peace of mind that I get from not having to run into bad Pechimari can be is really the equivalent to like Valhalla. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. There isn't an English word that can really do it.
They just take the high ground. See from the
Bliss, I think, is the closest thing I could describe. We all loved your sign. Thank you. Actually, it wasn't even my idea, but thought it was funny. Bastion ult here is just honestly just because RNG. Like, let's see what happens, There's not really a good time to use Bastion ult into the dive comp, so just use it. See if you can force out a couple CDs. It does force out BAP, Leap and Nade, I think. Also Winston Bubble as well. So it kind of delays Houston a little bit. Creates a little bit more chaos. EMP. Instant slander. It's not slander. I don't know why. Why is it slander to say something negative? It's facts. Now, this is funny. I think they scout Sombra here. That's the push. Yeah, they scout Sombra. So then they try to push afterwards, right? Yeah, they scouted Sombra. So they're going to try and walk forward. They do force Bubble out. That's like a brief window for Mayhem can actually like push for free, right? And then they're like, oh shoot, she's set up again. And I don't know if they just weren't expecting the Sombra to get set up as quickly, but this is a mistake. from Florida. Like Florida was like kind of still in the, hey, their Sombra's not set up mode, but Pelican was set up. So it's a bit of a mess, and it's a really nicely done. It's a really, I mean, like legitimate guys. Like as much as we've made fun of Houston's dive stuff or like team stuff, their dives have been quite good. Like there have been numerous dives from Houston that have been really truly quite good.
Houston are back in possession. And that's totally fine for the
Like I think these are good dives. Like I you know, Pelican maybe not like an S tier Sombra necessarily. Happy maybe not an S tier Tracer, but like the dive timing has been quite good.
The timing from Pelican was perfect, right? You know, the
Yeah, the lamp timing was almost perfect there.
for RuPaul and the
Why do they use Winston ult there? Let's check. He was pretty low. He was pretty low.
rally by the EMP fire combo, and here it comes again.
I think Bash and Turret was being used as well. You have to use Winston ult there. You have to.
kind of like poking and prodding. You're okay with that? You're building up.
Am I helping out with Team USA?
Farm some healing.
Maybe, sort of. I have helped a little bit earlier, but honestly, Team USA is like so scuffed right now. So I don't even know what any coaches are doing for Team USA right now.
Right? You know, the amp matrix goes right away.
Happy Tracer is fine. It's just not an S tier Tracer.
A pulse for Happy here could go a long way. The threat generator just by someone's presence though was enough to
So Houston's content to kind of like wait, control off angles. They don't really want to walk through that choke there. This is a rally fight, so it's really important that they're able to put some pressure here. If not win this fight, need to force more than just rally out. This is a little bit of a, you know, an RKO, but, you know, it's okay. The nade is hit there as well. I just don't think it's the best dive timing here because they actually hit the nade off of that as well, and then Fearless goes in afterwards. So this is probably the worst dive that we've seen from Houston in terms of timing. It does force the copy. Copy is put down, but imagine like a pulse now. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a fight-winning pulse now, right here. Like this is a fight-winning pulse if they're actually able to time that one a little bit better. Team USA scuffed because all these teams are playing Overwatch League. Like we've not even scrummed once yet.
It's a hack on Merit attempted. And here comes Fearless again, lit up like a Christmas tree with that nano. And the immortality
So a little bit of, honestly, not the best. This has probably been the worst like 15 seconds of Houston dive we've seen yet. Just because of the timing goof ups. And I also want to continue to point out that Violet has been worthless. You know what, guys? I'm gonna check the mail really fast. I'm gonna check the mail. I'm actually curious if Violet was doing anything here. I'm gonna check my my horoscope. See if Violet was destined to contribute anything this fight. Would that Happy pulse been worth if you forced Lamp? Yeah, because you forced Lamp, you forced Baptiste shift as well. And everybody's like super low. Is Happy the best hit scan tracer? I don't know. What's my horoscope? What's my horoscope, guys? What's my horoscope here? What's your sign, baby? Playing hyper aggressive. He gets full stuck, has to bash out, almost dies. Misses the whip on check the copy, almost dies to random spam because the shield's broken. Disengages all the way out to his Ana. Misses the whip again. Bashes. He keeps his Ana alive during copy primal because he has no damage. Then, thankfully, his dive comp is able to live. There's the rally push. They do get the kill on checkmate, but then he's unable to push because Bastion gets fluxed and freaking dies. All right, let's enjoy this. So, wish we had Pulse here. Chris, thanks for the sub, mate. I appreciate it. Forces rally. Pretty good nano. Lot of pressure from that duplicate. Forces them off of high. Houston disengage. It's not the end of the world. They're calling rally push, rally push, rally push, rally push. They rally push. But Violet continues to push. And check your friend Violet, the GOAT of all players. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye. And that's it.
Tracer in that dive.
The Florida Mayhem now will get into the lead.
So checkmate goes Tracer.
But for how long?
They're pinging EMP. Let's check timing here.
Both support.
Pretty good timing here.
Pelican's gone hunting. But for how long?
How does Shu die? Let me check the mail, guys. Hey, 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 goodbye. So he kind of gets pinged, he gets poked out a little bit. And Violet just doesn't pack him. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye. Yeah, he gets flanked by Tracer. Violet going in and gets Brawl value, but shockingly, Brawl Brig dies. Who would have thought? I thought for sure a Brig walking forward and swinging would get value. To be fair, the value there wasn't bad. But Brig just doesn't frontline well. She just doesn't frontline well.
Right. Another 20 on this net. These two teams can maybe you can get a hell out here in a second. Amp Matrix available. Maybe you can get a
Nade is blocked.
looks like Pelican kind of lurking in the background.
Sombra on the angle. Gets cleared.
Checkmate here, hoping to catch
Happy's disengaged.
opting into the Tracer mirror.
Nano Winston got to be coming in pretty soon here. You need to hit them before they hit Rally. There's a Nano Winston. It's a good dive. Bap window is used. That's pretty good. That's Lamp Force as well. It's not great value, but it's pretty good. And it also hit a massive nade there. That's going to force shift. Oh, if that timing had just been a little bit better. Violet peels off Tracer. So honestly, again, fairly decent dives from Florida there. There's the ult. Rally is used. All Houston needs to do is just live now. Oh, no. Unfortunate. So, ugly for Houston, but not the end of the world because you did force a lot of ults and you bought a lot of space. So, you're going to be able to continue this here with your next ultimate. Surely we get a good rally push here, guys. Rally is the solution. Ah. Guys. Guys. It's funny because what they're doing is they're catching Violet in these situations when he wants to press W. And because he wants to press W, his back is to his Ana. And because his back is to his Ana doesn't get healed. And his Ana dies to Tracer. No, they lamped, but it took too long to push the follow-up. All right, this is it, guys. I don't even remember what happens in this fight.
3 seconds to go and we will be in overtime. Pelican from the backside, sees Merit.
Probably EMP Primal, safest bet here.
Here's the EMP.
Lamp comes in time, and Pelican just dies.
Fearless to dive in.
Honestly, here, yeah, RuPaul just dodges it. You got to give credit to RuPaul. RuPaul dodges the EMP. He plays just outside of the range. And it's just not a perfect dive. I feel like if RuPaul's playing this far away, I feel like the play is not to force the EMP to try and hit everybody, because that's what ends up getting him killed. Just take the EMP that you get, force all the CDs, maybe get a kill, then Primal immediately afterwards. And because he's not in the middle of the fight, Pelican can actually stay for a freaking really, really long time. And then also, again, we're in a situation where we have to check the mail, because Checkmate, our A-tier Tracer of the week, builds Pulse Bomb. And let's check out the quality of this sticky. Oh. He just hits a stick. And that's it. Yeah, I mean, I think EMP placement could have been better there. I think he forced it too much. He ends up getting himself killed. Obviously the tracer peel isn't quite there either. They're not able to disrupt the tracer enough, and he just hits the pulse bomb. And that's it. I don't think Fearless played badly. Like I don't recall seeing a single really egregious error from Fearless this entire match. I think Fearless played relatively well. I think Florida for the most part, or Houston for the most part, dove okay. Just the Violet support pick was a huge problem. And a couple of individual errors, Should have EMP'd Shorung and Primal Rupal? Yeah, probably would have been a good play. That could have worked. There were a lot of things that could have worked there. Boston versus Florida Grand Finals been, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we already saw Boston versus Florida, and it was like unbelievably close. So yes, very much so. Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I think you just need to put Violet and Kiriko and then just play the game. I think it's that simple. It's that simple. Put Violet and Kiriko and play the game. And this isn't the only match where this is a problem. If you guys want to see like some other really funny Violet Brig, watch their Kings Row versus Dallas. Houston's Kings Row versus Dallas if you want to see some Brig value. It's bad. It's even worse than East Bronze. It was really bad. But yeah. So I guess like what are the main takeaways here? I think the best team in the world won. I think whether it was team play, mechanics, like I think Florida was just a step up in every aspect. I think Houston team play wise was consistently behind the curve outside of their dive compositions. Their timing wasn't good. Their fight planning wasn't good. Florida won a lot of fights off of just cheese flanks and hiding people. A lot of fights off of that. But yeah. Yeah, no, I still think Violet is the. I think Violet's still probably the GOAT, or it's certainly in contention for the GOAT. But yeah, I think for me more than anything else, the most disappointing part of this whole series was just how boring it was. I think it was just not a very enjoyable match to watch. There were some close maps for sure, but just wasn't as fun. A 4-0 is just not as interesting. But I guess it was a fun event. It was a fun event, I think, more than anything else. Anti-hype match, yes. I would agree with that. Okay, chat. So really, the bracket was a big problem. The bracket was a big problem. Nixie, VOD, myself are better in first or third. I think first person is probably better, but I think giving yourself a little bit of third person context occasionally can help. Most grand finals have been one-sided though. No, yeah, true. I think it was probably a better grand finals than the Atlanta versus Shanghai one, where Atlanta was clearly outclassed. Yeah. Well, the reason why you probably like that one is because the quality of play from Shanghai was probably the best we've seen. At least based off of my memory, it was some of the best Overwatch we've ever seen. But also you have to keep in mind that these teams haven't had time to practice as much, so things are a lot messier, whereas Shanghai had a lot of time to practice that composition. A lot of time. Gushui played Doom into Somber Tracer. He's just freaking good at Doomfist. He's freaking good at Doomfist. I think Winston is... what map was it, Depriest? What map is it, Depriest? Because Doom is sometimes favored on push maps, on certain push maps because of how big they are. Was it New Queen Street? New Queen Street is a good Doom map just because of how big it is. So, yeah. Doom is good in New Queen Street just because of how big it is. Winston is generally better than Winston's on a Somber Tracer, but New Queen Street is very, very broad. We've seen Doomfist on New Queen Street for all throughout the season. They don't want to pull a spiral. Ha, shut up, Fi. All right, chat. Listen, here's the juice. We're going to be back on Saturday, but because there's no Owl Companion stream, we're going to be doing, like, I have so many projects that I want to do on stream. We have the one tank tip for each hero. We have the one bug quality of life fix. By the way, join ! Discord. There is a channel called One Bug or Quality of Life Fix. If you play Overwatch and you play a character that you're like, why the frick doesn't this character have this? This is where you want to dump it. I want to do a video off of this. I've like kind of like my support rework video, DPS rework video. I want to go through and I want to get a couple of fixes for some characters in Overwatch that are left behind. Not necessarily like reworks, but just like what would you fix about your character? What would you change about your character to make them better to play, more fun to play? And I want to do a video on that. So drop your ideas in there. We have the complete DPS guide. You heard me right. Remember the complete tank guide, the complete support guide? The complete DPS guide is starting in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm not going to be able to do it all in one stream. It's going to be 2 streams because there are more DPS characters. But we are going to bite the bullet and we're going to do it. So finally, the 10-hour DPS guide is going to be coming into play, so hang tight. But yeah, we have a lot of projects to be able to do. If there's any like pro analysis or anything that you want to see as well along the line, I'm sure we'll take a look at Overwatch World Cup when that happens too. You can drop that in my Discord in the content suggestions channel if you'd like as well. Yes. Okay, chat. I'm gonna toss the raid over to Questron. Loves and kisses. It's been fun. It's been really good. It's been a great Overwatch League season. It's been a pleasure watching Overwatch League with all of you guys and the analysis and the live streams. I hope to see you guys continue out throughout the season. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see what the future holds. Have a good evening, guys.